It fixed you because you're the problem.
I'm one of the
You're
problems.
certainly one of the problems.
Definitely one of the problems. There we go. This is one of those days.
Because you're the problem. You're certainly one of the problems.
Definitely
All right, good.
one of them.
You hear us. You hear us. We can be heard.
We can be heard. We're back. This is the.
Although the video hasn't yet caught up and it's still on the infinite screen. The infinity screen, Justin.
The infinity screen.
You know, the screen which goes on forever. It's a screen within 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 a screen.
Oh, that screen.
Within a screen within a screen within a screen within a screen within a screen. Within a screen. It still is. Oh, there we go. Now it's not.
And then we shared to the Facebook.
Oh my.
We're live doing a podcast.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh yeah. Wow, 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 wow. This is the pre-show banter, which you exclusively get on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, you don't get.
You're not getting any of this. This all gets cut out. All of it. All of it.
This is the behind the scenes magic, baby.
This you only get this on YouTube. Okay.
But Justin, for this special anniversary episode, you should just not cut any of this out and have it be the quote unquote behind the scenes episode.
This is what you get Spotify if you watch on YouTube. This is it. You get all of it.
Where Spotify can for once hear all of this.
You get the additional 3 minutes of episode at the beginning of the episode where we talk about starting the episode.
Because I think that would be funny.
The stream isn't the podcast. The stream is us filming the podcast. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, that checks out. That makes sense. There's a certain logic there.
There's a certain logic there. Get your
game on.
Time to get your game on in 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. This podcast is brought to you by the Arte Media Pantheon. Please head to artemedia.org to see plenty of podcasts from our great friends. And if you would like to start your own podcast, they can provide you with the tools and resources to do so there. So please head to artemedia.org. That's ARETE media.org. On with the show, Jordan?
On with the mostly free choice.
Jordan, it's an uncharacteristically flawless intro. That's unlike me.
I mean, it's not uncharacteristic at all. It happens every time. What are you talking about? It's
always a flawless intro.
It is always flawless. Nothing ever goes wrong.
Nothing goes wrong. Nothing goes wrong and nothing can go wrong. Welcome to the Spurr podcast, everyone.
We are flawless podcast machines.
We are churning out a podcast, an episode. We're on episode 16 of season 3. Which makes this the longest season thus far. Welcome to the Spur of the Moment podcast, everybody. I am your host, as always. I am Justin Spurr. I am joined by my co-host. It's the incomparable Jordan, everyone. I feel like I've been messing out on the intro saying the name.
I don't think so. I think we've been pretty consistent.
Have we been consistent?
Also, you're right. I am incomparable. It is true.
It's true.
No, nobody can match up to my particular brand of crazy.
On today's show, Jordan, the Rock, the Dwayne the Johnson, he's wearing a muscle suit for Moana, live action Moana, and it looks funny. I don't know if you've seen the pictures, but they're very funny.
Why? Were his already bulging muscles not big enough? Like
apparently
they had to be cartoonishly big?
Apparently not.
I don't. Okay,
we're gonna talk some Lilo and Stitch live action. We're gonna talk about Sonic 3 trailer. Shadow has a gun. And yeah, I don't have a ton of news this week. That's pretty much it. And then the rest of the episode we're going to be talking about, it's mostly a free choice. We've selected things that the other person has to watch. And we're going to talk about that. Stick around. They're going to be fun. It includes a very long, inevitably going to be a very long discussion about The Room. I'm actually legitimately excited to talk about that movie. But, Jordan, let's talk about the Dwayne Johnson's, let's talk about his muscle suit.
Yeah, so why? He's already got bulging muscles. I don't understand. Like, does he have to be cartoonishly big? Isn't the point of putting it in live action to bring it out of the crazy, like, over the top of what makes animation and bring it more in line with like what a reality would be? So like, it doesn't really feel like you need to have him in a muscle suit.
I completely agree. Isn't he already cartoonishly big enough? Like, isn't that the
Like, he's already the Rock is already a very muscular man. Like, you're bringing it into reality. Why? I don't. Why? I guess would be my summation to that.
Sorry.
Why?
While you're talking, I'm trying to find. I can't find a good image of it.
I don't understand.
But it looks bad and it looks funny, and I already don't understand this. This already feels pointless. Like I when bringing it from I just having the person who did the voice do the thing it just feels even more, it makes it even more of a pointless exercise to me. Also, it hasn't been out long enough to really have any, in my opinion, strong nostalgia for it.
Sure, I mean, there's a lot of those that I would say that the same thing, though. I would say How to Train Your Dragon hasn't been out long enough.
Yeah,
personally.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. I completely agree. Yeah, that one, the nostalgia's hasn't been long enough. It's still too fresh. It's too fresh.
It's not like it came out in the 90s and it's been like 30 years or whatever, 20 years. Like, so it's a little bit different when it's only been 10 years.
And then it's funny. In a Dwayne Johnson adjacent story, I pulled it up like thinking it was going to be the bodysuit story, and it's just Dwayne Johnson endorses singing in movie theaters. That's the fun part. And no, you're wrong. Don't sing in the movie theater. No.
Quiet. Okay.
Feel the vibe is what I would say.
Quietly to yourself, like muttering to yourself the lyrics. Sure. Okay, that's one thing. Belting out like defying gravity, like super loud and obnoxious. No, there's no realm in which that is ever appropriate.
Right. I would say feel the vibe. So if you're in a theater full of like-minded people who are also all singing, all right. But like if you're the only one, read the room. If you're the only one singing in a room of nobody else is singing, read the room. But like also have dedicated sing-along screenings.
I mean, that would be the solution.
That's the easiest solution to that problem. Boom, done. You'll make a ton of additional money.
But to be fair, it just feels like a lot of times, and this is a strange tangent, I know, but it feels like a lot of times corporations don't want to do the things that will actively make them money. Like, and again, strange tangent, I know, but why are there not adult-only flights?
Right? I don't get that either.
Like, people would pay you could charge a premium. People would pay a lot of extra money to be on a flight which has no kids.
Yeah.
I know, random tangent, but that's just what that makes me think of for whatever reason.
So Jordan, my next story, I sent it to you last night, and that's because I thought it would be funny for us to try and dance around talking about this trailer.
Jesus the music, Jesus the movie.
Disney Pixar presents Jesus. That's what that looks like.
Jesus the movie. Yeah. That was a strange one.
It was very strange. Apparently, it's based on a Charles Dickens story, which is why the framework is it's Charles Dickens telling the story. I'm like, so it seems like part of the narrative of this movie is the Jesus dying bit. So I'm like, are they going to do that?
The Jesus dying and being resurrected and having godlike powers and walking.
Oh yeah, this is the Jesus is a magic wizard man version of the story. Yeah.
I will say the casting choice. I kind of, and this is purely because I think he looks like him. I think Jesus should have been played by Keanu Reeves.
That would have been funny. He
looks like Keanu Reeves in that trailer.
He does look like Keanu Reeves. But my favorite bit in the trailer is where it's them on the boat and he's just out in the middle of the ocean like, sup.
Yeah, Like I saw it when you sent me that, and I first started watching it. I was like, this feels like one of those, like, I don't know how to describe it. One of those cheap animated ones that's on Netflix that's like
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
that's
third world
absolutely.
country. And but then I hear some like well-known voices that I recognize, and I'm like, they feel too big to be in
Oh
this.
no, that's because that movie is very cheap. It looks very cheaply animated, and it probably was. It was probably cheaply animated, and half the budget went to paying for those voice actors. Plus, Jesus is easy to convince people to do a Jesus movie.
I
As
suppose,
long as it's not
but
an overly embarrassing one. I'm guessing the fact that it is animated gives it some level of prestige, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I just thought it was funny because I was like, this is really earnest in a way that's really funny.
yeah, I don't think I'm gonna ever
No, I
watch
have
it.
no intention of watching it, but
But
were it to, well, I should say, were it to come across my screen on like a Netflix or a Prime, I would maybe consider it, just out of morbid curiosity. Because I will say, maybe we'll talk about it for the Christmas special we do. But
I
um,
feel like it would make a good drinking game.
there's a nativity movie that's actually quite good.
Maybe maybe that's sacrilegious to say, but
Probably. It's probably not a great thing to say. Jordan, they're making a Masters of the Universe movie, and this just my question really with they've casted he's in final
okay.
talks. Idris Elba is in final talks to play the character Man at Arms, which I know you don't know by name. At least I don't think you do. Um,
No. The He-Man and the Master of the Universe. The only ones I really know are Skeletor, He-Man, She-Ra, and I think there's Lionel.
no, that's a different franchise.
Oh,
That's Thundercats.
right, right. So yeah, those are the three that I
So
kind
it's
of
funny. So
know.
people obviously because it's because the color of his skin are upset that Idris Elba is Man at Arms, and I that's for me just sparked the question of do we care?
I don't. I have no idea what it's supposed
Yeah,
to. It's that it's. I find that your level of caringness for situations like that, um, if you are the type of person to care about stuff like that, largely depends on how affectionate you are towards the characters. The more affectionate you are, and the more ingrained they are nostalgia wise in your history, the more pissy and resentful you get when people try to take your toys away.
yeah, fair enough.
So I don't have a nostalgia for He-Man and the Master of the Universe. So they could change every character in it, and I really wouldn't care.
Same, kind of the same way.
Um,
So
as as long as he's a big buff man who has a sword, a magic sword. That's kind of my the only thing that I know about He-Man.
right, and he goes, "I have the power," and then he turns
Yeah,
into a
yeah. As long as he does that at least once in the movie,
he's a
I
blonde
mean,
haired muscular man who goes, "I have the power," and turns into a blonder, more muscular man. Muscular man. That's what I understand of He Man.
yeah. So you could have a lot of people fill that role.
Right? Um, so live action Lilo and Stitch, Jordan.
Boo.
Look, here's what I will say: if the bench,
Boo.
what is the benchmark for? I mean, yours is non-existent, but they must exist. What is your benchmark for quality in terms of existence?
That's a hard question for me to answer because they don't exist. I don't want these. I don't want any of
Cause
these.
like,
But if they're getting made regardless, I want the looks and style of How to Train Your Dragons level of like they feel
yeah,
similar, but I want a new story.
cause hey man, it sure looks and sounds like Stitch. Like it sure looks and sounds like if that's all you're looking
I uh,
for.
I don't think it does personally. It looks
Uh,
like an abomination.
yeah, but that's the whole point. It's supposed to look like an abomination.
Yeah, no, it's supposed to look like a koala.
I
It
mean,
looks like an
to me,
abomination.
it looks exactly like Stitch, but he's got slightly more realistic looking fur. Um,
No, I look at this Stitch and I go like, there's no way that he could walk around and not have people running in terror.
yeah, but that was the whole thing. Is he that was the whole bit in the original
No, he
movie?
didn't. He had people looking at him going like, that's weird, but people didn't run in abject terror from him at
Yeah, no,
sight.
I completely disagree. I think it looks enough to me that the real test of this will be what does Jumbo and Pleakley look like? Like
Yeah, that's the other question.
they're the things that I'm concerned about.
Or Gantu.
Yeah,
Gentu's the other big one.
yeah. But um, my thing with this is, or I should say, they're doing the marketing, and I saw someone suggest this, and I think it's clever, having it where instead of him ruining the classic animated trailers, he ruins the live action trailers.
I could see that. I could see them doing some variation of that. I
Yeah,
also
like
saw
that would be fun.
there was a there was a poster where he was holding one of the coconut people from Moana.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Um,
that's what prompted me to ask that question. Yeah,
and
I'm like, that's
well,
fun.
what I was gonna say is there it would be a little fun if there was like even one or two references in Lilo and Stitch to Moana, considering they're in the same kind of realm.
Yeah, my thing with
Not a full on, not a full on cameo. I don't want Dwayne the Rock Johnson to show up
as Maui
as as
is
Maui
in
and
his muscle suit,
interact. No, no, like I don't want that. But like to have some sort, like even if like someone in the background had a coconut which looked like one of the coconut guys.
right? That'd be fun.
Like that would be fun enough for me. I'd be okay with that.
That'd be very fun. I
But but overall, no, I'm sorry. I'm in the camp where there's nothing these live action movies can do for me if they're redoing an animated thing that already exists. There's nothing they can do for me that makes me want them. There's nothing. I don't
I
want them.
mean, my thing is there's nothing they could do that's gonna make me want them, but there's stuff you could theoretically do that makes me be like, well, we have them. They're like at least they're kind of interesting. But this one I'm interested in purely because I do have a direct nostalgia to it, and I'm like I like this franchise, and I'm forgiving of whatever they do with it, even the bad stuff. So like I'm not. This franchise has been weirder, so I'm not.
I
I'm
feel like I
This is the
feel
one
like
that
if
doesn't
this
bother me for some reason. I don't know
I,
why.
I feel like if this had been one of the only ones they did, like if they had done like Aladdin, insert another good one, and then they tried this,
Yeah.
um, then maybe. And same with like with the How to Train Your Dragon has this issue as well. If there hasn't been 50,000 other live action attempts at all of these different things, and there had been one or two, and that was one of them, I feel like my opinions would be far kinder.
I
But
for
because there have been so many like insert live action or photorealistic thing here, because there's been so many of them, I'm burnt out, man. I'm
yeah.
done. It doesn't matter how good these things are at this point. It just makes me roll my eyes and go like, "Oh God, now they're doing insert live action, like
I will be
insert beloved animated thing that they're doing in live action for some reason."
I will be watching it on Netflix like God intended.
Like yeah,
Yeah,
give it a rest.
these things are not doing enough for me to warrant going out to the theaters to watch them. They're just
To
not.
warrant it, yeah, and it's an endless barrage of them. Like they haven't done any Disney in particular hasn't done anything fresh other than these live action
And it's the
remakes.
audience's fault. The audience keeps showing up to them. They keep making money because they're just like it looks
It's
like the thing, and that's enough for people.
it's it's
I'm like,
so
I'm like,
exhausting.
it's not enough to look for me. I'm like, it's not enough to look like the thing. I have the thing. I can go boot up the thing.
Yeah, I
I
have it.
have Lilo and Stitch. Like my thing with Lilo and Stitch, my thing with transferring a thing from one medium to the next is what are you doing with that medium? Like what are you doing in live action that you can't do in animation? And there isn't really anything in that story that would be improved by having it be a real person. There just isn't. It's just not that kind of story. Or like in the
No.
case of like, why would you take a live action thing and make it animated? Well, because you can do a lot more in animation. You can have creative action sequences that you couldn't do. Like I understand the benefits of swapping from one to the other, but in this case with this story, I just don't see what it has to gain other than another
Yeah,
run at some money.
when I was in college and I was in my animation class, the big thing that my and he was a very well known Disney buff. Like he worked on a lot of Disney things. I think he might have actually worked on Lilo and Stitch. Um, but one of the big things that he constantly would say, and this is sort of it's ironic that we're now going in the opposite direction, is um, animation is expensive. You would never do with animation what you could do with live action. So
Yeah.
now the fact that we're going in reverse and we're taking stuff that we did with animation that you can kind of only really do with animation well, and trying to do it in live action just baffles me.
But it's just
Like
like
it's
a lot of these. There's no, like with Lilo and Stitch in particular. The point of that story isn't that it's animated. Like the artistry of it, it's like it doesn't gain anything by moving it into live action again, other than hey, it's a thing I read, and that's why it looking and sounding like Stitch. I'm like, all right, so they're just gonna say the lines from the original movie again. What was the point?
so you know one which I'm a little surprised that we haven't seen the live action, which wouldn't be live action because you can't have this character anyway. It would be the rest of the characters would be live action anyway. Is the Iron Giant? I'm surprised that
Yeah,
they haven't tried because that one would be fairly simple to do in live action.
I mean,
Actually, of the
relative.
ones of the ones though, well, that's where I say the Iron Giant wouldn't be live action. That would
Yeah,
be 3D. But the rest of the characters are
it
all
would
just
be.
human
It'd
characters.
be a very it would be he would be a very expensive character, but yeah, I don't disagree. I can't believe they haven't attempted to remake that or do a
Like
sequel or do something with it. It's very odd.
of of the ones that I think you could do in live action, I actually think that one is one of the ones that works the best.
Yeah, that one would. You would get a lot. Yeah, because there's a lot of times where like human faces are just innately more expressive than animated ones. So like
Depends, but yeah, they
um
can be.
it can be. So yeah, I don't. This was one I don't get it. It's gonna do a lot. I'm gonna have. I just don't. These haven't wowed me. Not none of them have
No,
wowed me. Some of them
no,
have. Some of them have wowed me in the sense that they're not as bad as I was expecting. But that's not being wowed. Is that being wowed?
no. For me, it's like they've never
Oh,
wowed me.
it's
They sort of, at best, they've made me go like, "Oh, that's okay."
yeah,
It doesn't. It's not as fun as the original, but
yeah.
it's okay.
The most I get is that's better than I thought it was gonna be. Which like is that praise? That doesn't feel like
No,
praise. Oh, it's
that's
not.
consolation.
Yeah, it's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be pretty
It's
bad.
not. It's not praise. That's
Like
consolation.
I think it was the Lady and the Tramp. I think was one of those where I was like, it's not bad.
It's
It's
fine.
fine. I quite enjoyed it. But anyway, let's talk about Sonic
Devoid of
3.
any soul or emotion, but it's fine.
It's fine. No, that one I think did have soul and emotion. I think that was actually not bad. Um, there's a new trailer for Sonic 3 that dropped, and it looks fun, and I'm very excited for it, and I can't wait for it. But my God, do I hate the fact that Gerald Robotnik is both alive and being played by Jim Carrey. I can't stand it. I hate it so much.
Yeah, it's especially upsetting because it's like, okay, so they've got Maria, like they're doing the Maria thing.
Yeah, just
And so
pitch perfect,
so
Maria.
but the thing is that it doesn't make it so how Gerald gets killed for the actions that he took up on. He's a scapegoat. He
Yeah,
gets killed for all the experiments and all the stuff that happens up on Ark. He can't survive.
that was
How does he
just
manage to? How does he manage to survive? Like, because like the thing is that lore wise, we're gonna get super nerdy here.
deep into
Lore
Sonic
wise,
lore.
when he's up on Ark, he's not just making Shadow. He's doing a whole bunch of other experiments, most of which, as I understand them, are kind of not okay. Like
Yeah,
that's kind of the point. Like the president and like the governments and stuff are pressuring him to do stuff. He's essentially hunting for immortality,
yeah,
and so you can imagine the experiments that go into finding immortality. So yeah, when Gunn comes in and shuts it down, they kill everyone aboard Ark. And then he gets punished, like he gets sentenced to death as the scapegoat for it. He can't survive.
yeah,
There's no way
yeah.
that doesn't
And
undercut
just
all of it.
dramatically, there's all these shots in this trailer of like Shadow looking sad with Maria, where you're like, and then there's just Jim Carrey over here mugging as Gerald Robotnik, completely undercutting all of the drama involved in that character. It's not just the fact that he's still alive, although that's not helping matters. It's the performance, it's the prosthetics, it's how the character looks, acts, behaves. He's affected. Like the worst line in the trailer
Yeah,
is when Robotnik is walking out with him. He's like, "Look, it's two of us," and he's the same character. He's the same character. It's like,
yeah. Gerald
what?
is supposed to be like this
What are
soft,
you
like
doing?
he's very different from Robotnik. Like he's very, very different. And
right?
so the fact that you just have him being the same, it aggravates me because
Right?
everything else feels so faithful, and it just comes across like Jim Carrey's ego got in the way.
I honestly don't know. Cause like, I mean,
Well, it does. It
he
does come
still could
across
have
that
played
way
him.
because it does come across that way. Like he didn't want him to just be a one-off character that was in a video. He's like, I want to be able to come in and do two different characters and play against
I
myself. It
guess,
was
yeah, I could see
absolutely it
that.
was absolutely his ego because everything else, Shadow is very faithful. Maria looks very faithful. Everything else feels very
I mean, you
faithful
got the
except
Eclipse Cannon laser in there blowing up the moon.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
Chow Garden. Chow
except
Garden.
for the thing that fucking Jim Carrey is doing, which is Gerald and Robotnik. And even then, Robotnik is fine. I have no issues with
I,
the way that he chooses to play because that's how he's always
I,
been in this movie series. So that is this world's
yeah.
Robotnik. I can get past that. But no, Gerald is the one sticking point because no, he should not just be a clone of Robotnik.
No, because it makes him a decidedly less interesting character, and it just
Un,
makes this
un,
story
unless
not make
uh,
sense.
unless they go with this, and this would be stupid and would make my eyes roll. But unless they go with a plot thread of Robotnik is literally a clone of Gerald,
I mean, that would be
it
dumb.
it would
I
be
could see
dumb
it.
and it would be completely out of left field. But I could see them doing
Cause
that.
like I could see them doing it. I do see them doing a thing of where they Gerald isn't his grandpa necessarily, or like basically where they cut out Robotnik's parents. Because like if like just like he's just like Robotnik. So who wound up with this nutcase? Like that's my thing. Is like he's just I don't like the characterization, and it's enough to like
No,
almost ruin my enjoyment of
it
this,
it
which is a
paints it.
shame because I really like Shadow. Keanu Reeves. I've got a video of Keanu Reeves doing, and it's funny because you're like Jim Carrey ego, but he's having so much fun promoting this movie. It's very weird. I think I sent you a clip of him describing Shadow, and
Yeah, you did.
it's made me look like kind of an ass because he's like, yeah, he looks like he's genuinely enjoying himself.
To a degree, but that clip also proves that he knows nothing about Sonic because he says that Shadow has teleportation powers, which he doesn't. He's using chaos control.
I mean, is that not technically teleportation powers in a sense? It's not.
No, it's warping time.
Is warping time not theoretically what teleportation
No,
is? I'm just saying he doesn't
no,
get
it's
the.
not.
I'm just saying he doesn't call it chaos
Night
control, but
Night
it's.
Nightcrawler's powers are very different from stopping time and moving. Night powers are different from Gildo's powers, where Gildo holds his breath, moves, and time then continues once he lets his breath out. Moving time is very different than teleporting.
Yeah, but also chaos control also in other versions does move space because in Sonic X they wind up in a whole new dimension.
I mean, it depends on the version.
I'm just saying it is
That,
technically correct.
but my point more though is
Theoretically.
that I absolutely see it being a thing where, yeah, you're right. To cut out the question of Robotnik's parents, um, he's just a clone of Gerald.
I could see that. Yeah, I wouldn't love it. It would also explain because clearly they're gonna go push in the direction of like this is a genetic thing. Like she has a genetic illness, so he has genetic creations. Like that's that. Like, but there's no way BioLizard isn't in this. I'm calling it. I will be absolutely surprised if he's not. I mean, they did, and I always go to this, but
I
like in terms of like
so on
accuracy to the games, the giant egg robo was a genuinely impressive thing to see on screen.
on the one hand, yes, I absolutely believe it. On the practical side, I should say, I believe that there will be some variation of the BioLizard. But, and I'm just throwing it out there, maybe it's Metal Sonic that's firing off the Eclipse Cannon.
I mean, I know people want that. I don't. I'm like, if we're doing Sonic Adventure, I mean, I wouldn't be dissatisfied with Metal Sonic. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Um, but I really genuinely want BioLizard more because
I want BioLizard
that's
because
the
it's more
thing.
accurate. But I'm just in the one trailer they have Sonic giving him a quill, and that sets up.
I don't disagree.
So it's like I could see a world where it's Metal Sonic who's firing off there.
I don't disagree. Also,
Um,
apparently Keanu Reeves he's really yeah. Oh yeah, Shadow has a gun. I don't know if we mentioned that, but apparently
I
Keanu Reeves
mean,
is
that's
really.
that's not new. Shadow's had a gun before.
I think people they were expecting him to not have a gun, but that's a heck of a reference. Yeah, there's a video of Keanu Reeves voicing the characters, and he's also having a ton of fun. Apparently, he knows a ton about the character. He's really invested in this. It's just the image of Keanu Reeves being Shadow is just like an incredibly surreal thing. I think it might be
Right?
the most surreal thing in all of this. Although Jim Carrey being Robotnik is pretty surreal.
Jim Carrey coming back for a third film is pretty
Yeah,
surreal.
yeah, that's pretty insane. I
Um,
can't believe
like
he clearly loves this character.
we live in the timeline where the Jim Carrey, the man who doesn't do sequels, came back for 3 Sonic
Yeah, I'm
movies.
telling you,
Like
his
that's a very
filmography.
funny world to live in.
His filmography is hilarious because it's just the end of it is just 3 Sonic movies. Like that's how he's
Yeah,
ended
yeah.
his career is in a row. It's not like he like I think oh no that's not true. He might have separated the first and second one with Kidding, but otherwise it's just Sonic movies. It's very funny.
Oh, hey, no, hey, I can respect it.
And then finally, finally this is the last one. This is the last one. Finally, we talked about Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman and then making a movie. Apparently, there's a Mighty Mouse. Oh, it's his company will produce it. Oh, interesting. Apparently, there's a Mighty Mouse movie in the works at Paramount, and Ryan Reynolds' company will produce it. Which, like,
Interesting.
that's kind of neat because I think Mighty Mouse is one of there's certain characters from back in the day where I'm like, I'm surprised these haven't attempted to make a comeback. Mighty Mouse is definitely one of them. To be fair, I only know Mighty Mouse because I used to work at a movie theater and they used to have a giant Mighty Mouse, and yeah,
That's why I'm aware of him.
that's why I'm aware of him. That and the Andy Kaufman bit where he's like, "Here he comes to save the day," is the reason why. And also from Liar Liar, where he's like, "Here she comes to rule the day." Those are all references to
No,
Mighty Mouse.
I wouldn't have gotten those. I only knew about the thing at the theater.
Oh, really? Oh, really? You don't know the theme song to Mighty Mouse? Here he comes to. I've not said it 3 times. No.
I mean, I do now because you've said it 3 times, and I have context clues. We're talking about Mighty Mouse. You keep saying it, but prior to this, no, I don't
The
think I
thing
would.
with movies now though is it's always disappointing. You're like, oh, is it gonna be a real movie or is it gonna be like a streaming movie? Because streaming movies aren't real movies,
I mean, they're the equivalent of straight to DVD movies,
right? They're not real movies. Real movies go to theaters. They get a theatrical run,
and get people pay a lot of money to watch them.
or they use CineClub. This episode is brought to you by CineClub.
This
Use
episode is
CineClub.
not brought. This episode is not brought to you by CineClub, but it could be
It could
if
be.
they would if they would allow us to.
Pay us,
We would absolutely.
CineClub, Cineplex, pay us. We will promote your thing. We use it regularly. It's amazing.
Yeah.
No, this
In
episode.
fact, we should look into seeing if we can make that a thing.
Trying to find. I'm see if I can Google Cineplex's affiliate program. I suspect we'll probably get rejected. Like Best Buy reject us. Best Buy rejected us. We want to affiliate. We want to sell your product. You have nothing to lose. All 81 of our subscribers would love to buy your stuff. Speaking of buying stuff, today's episode is actually brought to you by Jordan. Let me ask you this question, Jordan. Let's say you have an awards season coming up for your podcast network, and you want a round of trophies for all your podcasts. You might win an award. Where might you get a trophy, Jordan, for that trophy award winning ceremony?
TrophySmack.com using our link in the description below. Justin, sir.
Excellent. And if you use that link, you can have such quality products like this. Look at that quality. Look at that sheen. Look how it shines in the light. My friends.
As well as
ooh, look at
you
that.
can buy those as well as belts, rings, Toby toppers that are custom engraving, posters for losers, and the thing that he is showing off to the camera. You can have all of those using the link in the description below using our link, sir.
That's TrophySmack.com. Use the link in the description below. That's it. That's the end of the sponsorship check. Move on to the show so I can have the show, Jordan.
Sir, yes, sir.
Jordan, remember when we used to call the second half of the show Book Report? We stopped calling it Book Report so long ago.
Yeah, then we called it media analysis.
General
because that's what it
media,
general media analysis. Because that's what it actually is.
That's what it is. We are generally analyzing
Anal- an- Analyzing the media that we have chosen for the week.
or the week generally. Generally.
Because media can be more than just movies. It can be TV shows,
Um,
video games, books.
so, Jordan, so if this week it was mostly more or less a free choice, Jordan, what were the movies I told you had to watch?
Ugh, you told me to watch. There was The Disaster Artist.
Yes.
There was The Room. Uh, The Room, The Disaster Artist. The guy who doesn't like musicals. Later on in the week, you challenged me to Nerdy Prudes Must Die. And there was The Bad Guys.
They're the bad guys. And I had to watch
What were you subjected to, Justin?
I had to watch Death Note 2017. I had to watch Sex and the City. I had to watch Bridget Jones's Diary. And I had to watch two Kill Bill movies. And you'll never guess which one of those was the worst movie.
Was it Kill Bill?
I'll have to tune in to find out. Winky face.
Winky face.
And then the rest we
Winky
filled in,
face.
we peppered in with quasi-related. So Jordan sort of said either he wanted to do it either for me, it was either going to be about death or it wound up being weird stuff. So mine is a mix of weird stuff and stuff involving the character of death. Jordan.
Mine, since Justin gave me so many things that I had not seen, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna lean into this. And so everything that I watched this week, I have never seen before.
Excellent.
There are no have seen. That's the twist. This week there are no have scenes. Drop the mic, walk away. Full stop.
Wait, I can do that. I can do that. I can do.
No, that's the wrong one.
I can do it.
No, that's not. That is not the sound that I was looking for.
Okay, let's do it again. Jordan. That's it.
Okay, sure. Yeah,
okay,
no,
fine.
There it is. Yep, that's the one. Well, that's just rude. You're having too much fun. You need to stop. Get back on the program.
Okay, let's start. Jordan, what's your first, I suppose, I don't know how we're going to rapid fire, Jordan.
First rapid fire is The Dark Crystal, which is a Jim Henson
spooky Muppet movie.
It was fun fact, did you know that there was a TV show? A 2019 Netflix series?
I did, because I was tempted to watch the
I did not know that, but that was interesting to find out. It's apparently a prequel.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's a prequel to the movie, and it shows the whatever the main character's race was called. It shows those trying to resist the evil ones.
Oh, all right then.
And spoiler alert, they must have ultimately lost, because by the time of this movie, there's only the two of them left, Adam and Eve, if you will. I don't actually remember their names, but there's the two races, which I guess were split from the one race, and so there's the bad Muppet looking ones and there's the good Muppet looking ones. I gotta say the puppetry on this is very impressive.
I mean, it's Jim Henson, he's a master.
I know, and it was just very interesting to watch this because it definitely came across like he wanted to really prove that the Muppets could be more than just Sesame Street.
I mean, to be fair, that was his desire for most of his career, was to be like, they're not for children.
Or not just for children.
They're not just for children. They're for everybody.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have that's kind of all I have to say about this one. I liked it. It was fun. Definitely for a family movie, it was a little dark, which I guess is ironic because it's called The Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
But Overall, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this one. I can't believe I'd never watched it before. That was kind of a theme that I had this week. Or the secondary theme is I can't believe I didn't watch this before.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah, considering it came out in the '80s, pretty good. Holds up pretty
So
well.
so you have watched original the anime Death Note anime recently, right? Reasonably recently.
Reasonably, well, recently enough.
So when I ask you clarifying questions about this, the original version of this, you'll be able to answer me because I
Up
had
to a up to a point.
okay,
I
but like at least the first like 10 or so episodes, right?
yeah,
Okay.
that I should be able to
Good.
do.
So yeah, Jordan wanted me to watch Death Note from 2017, the American adaptation of it. And so obviously I was like, I need to watch the original, but I don't have time to watch the entire show. So I watched the live action movie. And like number one, substantially worse than I remember. Um Number two, um oh man, but it was a real nightmare to find. I could not find it anywhere to stream. And yeah, getting it to download, and then I finally got to download, and then it didn't have the right subtitles, and then I got confused because the show it starts pre Kira, right? He's just a regular guy, and then he finds the
Okay,
notebook.
it starts like literally the first episode. It's him in school and like it's got the whole monologue and he finds within like the first 5-10 minutes he finds the Death Note.
Interesting, and he's a high school student.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
okay,
believe it's I believe he's in the last year of whatever Japanese school looks like.
because the change, and this is just fun because I obviously watched this in Japanese. And fun fact about me, I'm learning Japanese, and so it's just kind of fun because I was kind of looking away, and I heard him say I'm gonna fuck this up because I'm live. But he's like gakuse, which is a university student. And I was like, hey, I know that word. So that's where I realized, yeah, I was like, oh, I think they've aged him up, so he's a university student instead of a high school student.
Yeah. So basically in the show um like in the first 10-15 episodes, something like that, there's a certain point where yeah, he graduates high school and then him and Ryuzaki are at the same university.
Okay. Ryuzaki being L.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Um and that's where L kind of reaches out to Light um and is like, yeah, yada yada yada, and they kind of end up meeting and then he brings him into the investigation. He's like, yeah, you're a suspect.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
they're working together and stuff.
So in the movie, the big thing about Light, the Japanese version of Light, at least the live action version of him, is yeah, he's kind of a total sociopath.
I mean,
Like
yeah, that's kind of the point of his character.
yeah, but he's like a genius sociopath, right? It's a big
Yeah,
point
that's
of
kind of
yeah.
the point of his character.
And it's yeah. I thought it was okay. Like it starts off with Kira is already active, and so I thought I had accidentally downloaded the second one because I was like,
Uh,
why is he active? I'm like waiting for it to like him to be a normal guy, but Kira's already killing people. So then I started to download the second one, which starts at the place that the first one ends, which is Misa gets introduced and she's about to be attacked. So I was like, oh, okay, no, that's definitely the second one. So this is the first one. So they don't acknowledge that he's Kira really until like 10-15 minutes in. And then they're kind of like, yeah, he's just a regular guy until he finds the notebook. He's a law student who has this idea that the legal system is ineffective, but he's otherwise
mm,
just a regular person.
interesting. Yeah, that's definitely a change.
Yeah. He's like a popular person, but he's still just, and he's got the girlfriend. The most important part is he's got the girlfriend. Uh,
Misa.
Not Misa. He's got another girlfriend who
Oh, interesting.
he's dating at the beginning of it, and they go through the bit where he meets Ray Pembar, and you've got the his girlfriend who's an FBI agent. And one of the details I
Mhm.
appreciate is when the characters are American, they're American and they speak English.
Oh, that's the neat to it. That's an
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So all the FBI agents who die are all like American.
That's smart. That's smart.
Yeah. So then at the
Because
end,
obviously in animation, anime has always had this issue where it's like it kind of you
yeah,
lose that a little bit.
absolutely, yeah. And it ends yeah with him like killing the girlfriend and the FBI guy Ray Pembar's girlfriend. And it's like, yeah, man, he's just a sociopath. Like, it's not about killing bad guy, and the notion of who is a bad guy and who's not a bad guy, and what gives him the right, and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, yeah, he's just a sociopath. Just a
I
fairly
mean, again, to be fair, he always was. In the anime, he refers to himself as the god of the new world. That's pretty sociopathic.
Yeah, absolutely. My thing with Death Note, the anime, is it's been a long time since I've read it. I've never watched the anime. I've never finished the anime, but the manga, I've read the manga, and I just remember at a certain point after L dies and he becomes New L, it becomes so unrealistic that none of these cops are able to figure out it's him. Which is why the movies
I
kind of
mean,
just kind of cut to the chase of having it be like, yeah, it's immediately apparent it's him. He's really suspicious, and it's not that he's this movie paints it as though it's not that he's particularly smart. It's just that the cops are grossly incompetent.
my issue with the show when it hits the point after he kills Elle and he takes over the investigation is yes, the cops being dumb is irritating, but at a certain point, I don't understand why he keeps the. I get the argument. It's obviously it's his arrogance, but just
Yes.
from he's a very smart character and he doesn't need them anymore. I don't understand why he doesn't just do
For
away
me,
with
it's the
them.
stuff like, how did you know that Kira would do that? When you mean how did you know that? That requires a really specific level of insight. How do you have that? You must be Kira. Like they're all
Yeah,
supposed to
yeah.
be investigators. This is literally their job. Like if they were regular people, all right, I give you he's a deceptive narcissist. But I just remember it got really ridiculous in the back half.
It does at a certain
And then
point,
by like
absolutely.
Kira, I mean I think it was
Especially
Kira
because
number
they bring in,
4.
especially because they bring in Near and Mello who studied at the same place L did because they were clearly like, well, shit, we killed L way too early.
Yeah,
We need a new L.
we need a new L.
And
Yeah, yeah.
they just were never. Those two characters were never. It wasn't the same.
As I recall, having not watched the second movie, but as I recall, the second movie, I like the ending better because he writes his own name in the book, and then he writes Light's name, so it's technically a tie, so no one wins. And I like that ending better because
Mm.
it's more believable. Also, this movie is very odd because for whatever reason, I don't know if they wrote the song for the movie, but the Red Hot Chili Peppers were involved in the soundtrack for this movie, so the ending credits just says Danny California for some reason.
For the Japanese version,
Yeah, yeah, for this live action
that's
movie, just out of
that.
nowhere, it's just Danny California's playing. And it's actually the first
Okay,
time I heard Danny California was in that movie.
that's
I
very
remember it being
random.
the second one. I remember it because my Japanese teacher would showed us like clips, or he had taped VHS recordings or something. But I just remember him playing us this little bit of an episode, and one of the commercials was Death Note. And no, I think I had heard Danny California because I was like, what the is that Danny California? That's so weird. That's so random. Very odd. But yeah,
Very random.
that was Death Note 2006.
Um, so my second rapid fire. Um, so when I picked Dark Crystal, I accidentally picked Dark Crystal because I was actually trying to get Labyrinth. Um, and I got about 20 minutes into it, but I obviously never watched either. I only knew about Labyrinth because of Muppet Babies does a parody of it in one episode.
Yep.
So that's what I thought the Dark Crystal was. And I got about 20 minutes into that one and I was like, I'm not seeing David Bowie. Why isn't David Bowie in this
Where's
movie?
that David
I'm
Bowie
like,
codpiece?
I remember he was in this movie, and that's when I looked it up, and I'm like, oh, that came before this one. Okay, so then I was next night I was like, okay, well tonight I'm gonna watch Labyrinth, and I watched Labyrinth, um, and I like the Dark Crystal more.
Fair.
Maybe that's a hot take. I don't know.
I don't know enough about either to.
I uh I find the plot is a little more focused in the Dark Crystal. Um that being said, the music in this one's fun. If you like David Bowie, it's really David
Bowie's
Bowie
in
heavy.
space. Yes,
Um
as I've heard, it's
but
very David
basically
Bowie heavy.
Fun fact is about this one is apparently Jones of Monty Python wrote the first draft of the film's script early in 1984
Jones.
from Monty Python.
What's his first name?
I don't know. It just says Jones of Monty
I
Python.
don't recognize the name. I
Um,
don't know a Jones of Monty Python.
it was this was the last feature film that Henson directed.
Yes, that I knew.
Because it apparently didn't do well, which broke his heart.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, no, basically, uh, sorry, this was early in the week, so I'm trying to refresh my memory. Um, the girl who plays the girl who's the main character, who is played by Jennifer Connelly. Um, she is an absolute teenager at the beginning of this movie. She was just such a teenager, just the worst kind of teenager. Um, Unpleasant, worst kind of teenager. You know exactly what I mean.
I do.
Um,
I do know
and
exactly what you mean.
her very reasonable father and stepfather ask her to look after her little baby brother for the evening while they go out on their date. And she is just such a teenager and is being very teenager and is yelling at this baby who's crying, and it's like getting angry, and I'm like, it's a
It's
baby.
a
He doesn't
baby.
know
Stop yelling at this
that what he's
baby.
doesn't know that what he's doing is wrong. Like, come on, stop being a unpleasant teenager. Um,
Stop being mean to the baby.
and that's where she's like, I know if I say the correct words, the Goblin King will come and take you away. And I'm like, so does she actually think that this is a real thing, or is she just being dramatic? And then she says, and then it keeps cutting to the puppet Muppets, goblins, which are like, oh, she's gonna say the thing, she's gonna say the thing, and then she doesn't say the thing, and then they're like, oh, she was so close, and then she accidentally says the thing, and that's when the movie actually begins, and we go into the world of the labyrinth, and there's the whole adventure, and it's fun,
There's
it's
a,
cute.
there's a whole adventure with
Again,
shenanigans and
oddly
mishaps.
oddly dark for a family movie. That's kind of
It looks
what I would
dark.
say
I remember
what
the
I would say
episode of
about these movies.
the Muppet Babies where every time we'd cut to a clip from it, it'd be like, ooh, this movie looks upsetting.
It as an adult I like it. I don't know that I would have liked it as a kid. I can
Yeah.
understand why it maybe struggled
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah. It feels like one of those ones you're like, I love this movie as a kid, but it scared the pants off of me.
Like
It gives me that
it's
vibe.
sort of like reading about it. It sort of developed a cult following, and
Yeah.
I can see why. Like I can see a group of adults who, once they became adults, were like, "Man, I remember this movie which scared the shit out of me
Yeah.
as a kid,"
This movie was
and went back
fucked
and
up.
watched it, and enjoyed as adults.
I can see that.
And like in the '80s, adults didn't give this a chance because they're like, "Oh, it's a kids movie,"
Probably. Yeah, I can see that. I can absolutely see that.
but it was fun. It was fun.
Right.
That's all I have to say about that one.
That's all I have to say about that. My second one involves the character of Death, and it is Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Second Bill and Ted movie. Um, this movie I thoroughly enjoyed. I enjoyed it. There's a couple of cameos which I really appreciated this time that I obviously wouldn't have when I was a kid. But at the battle, I'm gonna jump around here a bit. But at the Battle of the Bands, Primus is there, and he's singing one of the. I'm like, I recognize the song, and it's one of the songs they sang in that South Park concert video, and they're like, and thanks to Primus, and it's like clearly Primus before like they do South Park Primus. I'm like, hey, I know
Oh
those
yeah,
guys now. That's just a really
that's
weird
funny.
cameo. But there's a lot of like quite upsetting looking body horror where you've got like the robot Bill and Ted, who are great by the way. Keanu Reeves and Ted Bill Winters as the evil versions of Bill and Ted are fun because they interchange between being like oddly like evil and sinister and like really quite evil to just being Bill and Ted. Like
Right?
it's
And you can tell they're having a blast.
there's a really funny shot though. My favorite bit is where they show up to retrieve Bill and Ted, and the each of them grabs the other one, and there's a brief moment where you see over Bill Winters' shoulders that it's clearly not Keanu Reeves. Like it doesn't look anything like him. But there's some genuinely good body horror where like they like pull off the
Rip the face
yeah, they
off.
pull the face off, and I was like, oh my god.
Or they rip their chest
Yeah,
open and it's got all the wires.
the face was particularly upsetting because it just kept going. I was like, oh my goodness. Like imagine these poor kids. Like your leader's just like your like ancient like leader or whatever shows up and rips his face off. That would be upset. And then when they're in hell, the grandma, that was actually kind of upsetting. I was like, oh, that's legit upsetting.
Oh, the different hell scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The Easter Bunny.
The Easter Bunny was also scary. I was like, I remember this being kind of scary when I was a kid.
Creepy. Definitely creepy.
Definitely
Is it a
creepy.
kids movie?
I would say no. I don't think so. I think it's PG
I
13.
don't. Yeah, I don't think it's a kids movie.
I'm pretty sure it's PG 13. And then obviously
Uh,
death. They play death in all the games, which is really funny. Those scenes are very
yeah,
funny. Yeah,
that
playing
is a
death.
twister.
You have sunk my battleship,
Who have sunk my battleship?
which is very
Don't you
funny.
don't? What was it? What does he say when he's playing the bass? You something with the Reaper? Dance with the Reaper?
Do you dance with the Reaper? I can't remember. Yeah.
Uh,
Station. Well,
Station.
it's very much they felt like they thought that Station was gonna catch on as like something people said. It just didn't.
Station.
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 Station. And obviously
Station.
the big scene at the ending where they do the big song that saves the world, which might
God gave rock and
well, see,
roll. No, that's not where they do the song, Justin. That's the point of the third one.
no, there was not canon.
The third one is canon.
No, there was not canon. No. What's funny though is my theory is that in terms of the context of the second one, not knowing that there's going to be a third one, I don't think that what they're playing, what we hear, like we hear God gave rock and roll to you, I don't think that's the song that they're playing. Because, there's vocals and you notice not one of the band is singing. Who's singing the song, Jordan?
God.
So what I'm saying, Jordan, is the song that Bill and Ted is playing is in fact not God gave rock and roll to you.
So what you're saying is it's a real Tenacious D tribute situation where
Yeah.
tribute isn't actually about the song, it's just a tribute.
Right, exactly. But in this case, they are playing the song. The audience is hearing the song because, like, the ending credits go on to explain how they basically saved the world off the back of this performance. So the audience is hearing the song, but the actual song it's being that we're hearing is not in fact the song. The
Okay.
fourth wall
Okay.
audience.
I acknowledge your headcanon, I respect it, and I don't dispute it.
It's because I've justified it accurately. Jordan,
Yeah.
no one was
You've
singing.
You've given adequate explanation.
I'm just saying watch the scene.
And
There are no
until
microphones. That's all I'm saying.
until the third one comes around and completely disproves everything.
Yeah, except for at the end of the second one, and I can't remember. I think I've only watched the third one once. But the third one I don't recall. They both have sons, and in the movies they have daughters. No, in the third one they have daughters, but at the end of the second movie, he's like Bill Jr. He calls him.
I mean, I could just believe that he's an idiot.
He just thinks that he's. I can't. To be fair, I can't remember if that was a bit.
I could believe that for the first 5 years until they started looking like girls that they just thought they were boys.
I could believe it too. It's an in character thing. I just don't remember if the movie explains it or not. Or if they just went like, retcon.
I don't remember. They probably just retconned it.
But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. The version of God Gave Rock and Roll to You at the end of this movie is my favorite. The one with the with the guitar solo. It's my favorite version of the song.
That's fair.
That's Bill and Ted's bogus journey. Yeah, where they get killed and they've got him like hold over the canyon. It's actually pretty impressive. Like, because it's straight, like, there's a couple of moments where it gets hinky, but it has, like, in terms, if you consider the fact that I think this came out in the 90s, late 80s, it's a reasonably impressive looking effect.
Okay. All right. Okay. So my next rapid fire came out in 2024. and it's a movie called The Fall Guy.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Uh,
want to watch that movie. I hear it's depending on who you talk to, either really bad or really good.
I had fun with it. I thought it was a fun one. That being said, I don't believe that just because you do stunts, you can be a superhero, or not a superhero, but like a spy, whatever you want to call it, like go out and save the day, as it were.
Likely not. No.
Um, but it's fun. It's a fun movie. Um, Apparently, it's loosely based on a 1980s TV show.
Mhm. I
Um,
believe it's an Australian TV show. I think.
but you got Ryan Gosling, you got Emily Blunt. There's, I think I think what I like about it is it at least acknowledges the hard work that stuntmen put in.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they put in a lot of work. They put
Um,
in the work. Is what I'm saying.
but
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, it's not for me. It's not like breaking any barriers or like doing anything super amazing. It's a pretty paint by numbers action movie, but I had fun with it and I had a good time with it.
Fair enough.
Do you have any questions for me that I might not be able to answer?
No. No, no, I want to see this one. I hear it's good. How are the action sequences? Like, did they because I hear that there's a lot of practical stunts that happen in this
Again,
that
I think it
apparently
looks good.
look good.
I like the ones where it's like where they're on the set, and so it's like you're seeing it as if he's this like he's basically just doing stunt work. And
Yeah,
I kind of I enjoy seeing that kind of stuff. I think that's fun.
I'm a big fan of the Waterworld stunt show at Universal Studios.
You have never seen it.
I have once when I was a child.
Okay. That's the Fall Guys. All my you'll notice, Justin, I had 10, but a lot of them are going real quick.
All right, my next one is a little movie called from the 2000s, I think. I don't remember the year it came out. It's a movie called Monkey Bone, starring Brendan Fraser, one Carlo Esposito, um, and other famous people who are not coming to. Whoopi Goldberg's in it as Death. That's the connection. And Brendan Fraser plays cartoonist Stu. Don't remember his last name. And Stu winds up in an accident and inadvertently winds up in a place called Downtown, which is a place you go when you're in a coma, and it's a place for dreams and whatnot and figments of your imagination. And he needs to get back to being awake, but he gets tricked by Monkey Bone, and the Monkey Bone steals his body, and he has to stop Monkey Bone because Monkey Bone is using his body to merchandise Monkey Bone, which he doesn't want to do. And
I mean, he's also stealing his life.
he's also stealing. It's like there's a funny bit where you find out that basically that yeah that the Dream Lord, the Lord of Dreams, played by one Carlo Esposito, which I didn't even recognize him. I was like, he's in this movie. I spent the entire movie, and it took me a while to realize, oh, that's him. It completely disappears into the role. It's really quite impressive. But yeah, he tricks Stu into basically stealing a death pass, and the figments they can go back and take over your body. So you find out that not Steven Spielberg, Edgar Allan Poe, he was taken over by the Raven, and then Stephen King, he was taken over by Cujo. And I went, really, Cujo, not Pennywise. Seems like Pennywise would have been funnier and probably a little. I just Cujo, really Cujo. Um, and yeah, the deal.
Pennywise would have been too on the nose.
I suppose, yeah. But yeah, the deal being that yeah, he creates nightmares for the nightmare guy, and he gets to keep Stu's body. And it's really kind of a fun performance, like when Stu in the Monkey Bone as Stu and regular Stu are they're two completely different performances. Brendan Fraser does kind of a fun job doing both. The animation is directed by Henry Selick, who did the Nightmare Before Christmas movies. So the animation is stop motion animation. So Monkey Bone is a stop motion animated character, and he's really fun. He's really fluid. I imagine it was very expensive. It did not do well, and I understand why. It's one of those movies that you've seen Monkey Bone, right? Obviously, you remember that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
It's a movie where I understand why it didn't do well because it's too weird, gross, and scary for kids, but it's too weird and silly for adults. Like it's one of those.
For mainstream adults. It
Yeah,
appeals to a very particular niche
like the
audience.
bit where it's like
Um,
he's in the
Basically, those who like Beetlejuice, that
yeah.
audience.
Yeah, like I could see the connection there because it like there's certain sequences like the dream sequence where you see it like the nightmares that he was drawing, which like man, severely unbalanced man. But when he gets trapped in the nightmare of like them sawing him or whatever, and it's in black and white, it's
Yeah.
like it's upsetting. Like this movie, I remember this movie
This
being upsetting as a child. I definitely remember
this
that.
this movie definitely feels like it was inspired by Tim Burton.
Yeah. What's interesting is it's based on a comic book, and I tried to track down what the comic book was about, and it's the same. It's the same. It's
Really?
yeah, more or less. It's he goes to it's got a different name. I can't remember what it's called, but he winds up in a coma. The sister wants to unplug him. He has to get back to it before he gets unplugged. All the whole works. Oh, Chris Kattan as well as the him as the body with the doctors trying to like chasing after him, trying to retrieve the body with all the organs in it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's very funny. Um, what else? What else? What else? Yeah, I think that's it. That's all I had to say. Just trying to think. Death. Whoopi Goldberg is death. She's very fun.
Yeah, that's fun. That's a fun
Um,
performance.
it's one of those things where like how you go on with life knowing that the concept of death and the afterlife and all that like it just exists. Like I don't know how you continue on with life after that in quite the same way.
You live each day to the fullest, knowing what's coming.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Um, that's it. That's Monkey Bone. It's very weird. Yeah, yeah. That's the one of the themes. It was so weird, and it involved death.
I check both boxes.
Checks both boxes.
Um, so you want to talk about movies that were not great and didn't do very well? You should go watch Around the World in 80 Days, which came out in 2004.
That movie is
It
not
had
good, and it didn't do well.
I mean, to say it's not good, it really depends on how much you like the story of Around the World in 80 Days, because it's just that. It's
I
just that.
mean, I've
The
seen
main, the
it
main,
about 1,000.
it's
My
a,
favorite version of it is always going to be the Chipmunks movie.
I mean, that's definitely, yeah, that's one of my favorite. This one, I mean, okay, so here's what I'll say. It has the dude from Night at the Museum.
Owen Wilson,
Um, no, not, yes, it does have him, but that's not who the main guy
Ben Stiller,
is the main guy is Octavius,
Octavius.
the Roman
Oh,
gladiatorial little guy.
Steve Coogan.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I got there.
Steve Coogan. Yeah, yeah,
Steve
yeah.
Coogan.
Although when you look at the starring on Wikipedia, Jackie Chan, of course, gets top billing, even though he's Steve Coogan's character's manservant and is like, you know, not really who the story is actually about.
He's a sidekick.
Um,
Big old sidekick.
Sidekick. Um, yeah, I mean, it's Around the World in 80 Days. They go around the world in 80 days. It's the guy challenges him. There's other elements that make it slightly different, but
Is it
largely it's just
is it still
around the world in 80 days.
is it still in an air balloon?
No, the large part of it, like when they first set off, they're in an air balloon, and then they're on a train, they're on a boat, they're on whatever they have to get around the world in 80 days.
Because I mean, isn't that the whole thing? That they're in an air balloon?
Not in this version.
I just remember that the one audiobook. I think it's not an audiobook. It was like one of those point and click adventure games. There was like a little
Yeah,
storybook of life. It was like
one of the ones we played
I'm winning.
as
I'm
children
winning.
on
I'm
Mac.
winning already. That's all I remember about that around the world. I'm winning. I'm winning. I'm winning already. Um,
Um, it's fine. It's so here's what I'll say, and I feel like this might give you an idea. It had a budget of 110 million. Now it underperformed. Do you want to guess what the box office was?
25 million.
Higher than that.
40 million.
Higher than that.
80 million.
Lower than that.
60 million.
Higher than that.
75 million.
Ooh, you're so close. A little bit lower.
70 million?
A little higher. A
70,
little higher.
72.5 million.
72.2 million. Give the man a prize.
Yeah.
It
Nailed
only
it.
took him 17. Yeah, no, definitely got it on the first try.
First
First
try.
try. He
First
did
try.
it on the
Hard
first
cut.
try.
Hard cut. Got it in the first try. And what was the budget? Sorry?
The budget was 110 million.
Oh, so massive bomb.
Yeah, it did
Massive,
not do
big,
well.
big old stinker.
Um, yeah, production costs of about 110 million, and estimated marketing cost of 30 million.
Yeah.
And it oh, so see, this is where it's weird. I guess by the end of its run it got 72. But
Hollywood accountant, baby.
no, US box office was 24 million and 48 million worldwide.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That makes sense. I can see it doing, if it would do well in China because of Jackie Chan. He does very well in China.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's basically Jackie Chan's character is a thief who steals a thing, and that's why he's going with the dude who is about the 80 world, and it's fine.
It's
It's it's
fine. It's
it's
fine.
it's it's a real 2004 Jackie Chan movie, and everything that makes you think of.
It's a real 2001 A Space Odyssey. It's not. It's not. That movie's actually good.
No, it's not that. Like it's very much like like those movies like um Spy Next Door.
Yes.
That
Inoffensively bad.
that level, I was gonna say that level of Jackie Chan quality. It's
Yeah.
not one of his better
It's like a
ones.
real tuxedo or a medallion.
Yeah, or The
Mid,
Pacifier.
yeah, mid tier. He wasn't in the pacifier.
No, but I just think in terms of quality,
Oh yeah, yeah, mid level Jackie Chan movie. Is that it, Jordan? Is that all you have to
that's
say?
that's Around the World in 80 Days,
They
baby.
beat my next one, Jordan. My next one. My next one. My next one. My next
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah. What's your next one?
one.
Get to it.
My
Get
next
to
one.
it.
No, I'm kidding. My next one is a movie called Rubber, which is a movie about a killer
Rubber.
tire. It's about rubber. It's about a killer tire who travels around and blows people's minds. And by minds, I mean their heads off. It blows their heads off. Explodes them. Explodes their heads. And there's this framing device early on. A cop shows up, and he's like, he has this really long monologue basically about how he's like, why do certain things happen in movies, or why do they not happen for no reason? That's why. Sometimes things just happen in movies for no reason, and this movie is our tribute to no reason. And so then a group of spectators show up, and they all watch. They say the movie, but they're all just kind of standing in a clearing with binoculars, like watching watching this tire travel across the country, travel basically, and kill people, and they comment on it. And the whole joke is that it's happening for no reason. Like, you're like, why is this audience randomly there watching this movie about this tire, for no reason? And then towards the end, the tire kills this maid at this hotel, and the cop from the beginning shows up, and he's like, there's nothing to worry about, it's over. And everyone's like, what? He's like, nope, don't worry about it, it's over. See, bang, he shoots himself in the chest. It's like, see, it's all fake, don't even worry about it, nothing to worry about. And then when the other cop shows up, he goes, no, it's not, the tire is on this, that, and the other thing, it's not over. It's like, oh, okay then. And he walks back over and he starts interrogating one of the hotel owner or whatever. And the hotel owner's like, why do you have blood on your... It's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Why do you know this person? And then he continues on. It's so weird. It's so bizarre. It's just a very strange movie. I think it's on Amazon Prime. It's totally worth checking out. It's very strange. It's very funny, surreal, weird. It's like when you were like weird, it was like the most weird movie I could think of. But it truly is a very weird movie. That is totally worth checking out. But yeah, that's Rubber. Unless you had any questions about Rubber Jordan.
No, not really. Unless there's a man in it who is named Glue, and at one point he says, "What you say bounces off me and sticks to you."
I mean, no, but the movie does end with them theoretically killing they think they've killed the tire, and it turns out the tire's not dead, but he's in fact not now he's a tricycle, and him and an army of tires are now ready to take over the world. They're all ready to take over Hollywood at the very least.
Okay, I'm gonna not acknowledge what you've just said because that sounds weird. So my last have not or my last rapid fire um is called That Awkward Moment. Um, which is defined as a American bromantic comedy drama film.
I will never forget that movie.
Um,
because because the first time we watched that movie was after Jordan had gone through a very bad breakup, and he was very sad. And I said, "Let's go
I've
watch a
seen this.
movie." You absolutely have. It's the one I always tell. I tell this story about where I made you go watch it, and the entire time you fumed at me because this movie is about relationships.
Oh, is that this one?
That's this
Oh, okay.
one.
Well then, I guess I've seen. I didn't remember. I have no memory of this. I must have been so angry that I blocked it out.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll never forget it because
but
like we drove out to Metro Town to watch it, and you were just pissed the whole time. Like
Zac Efron,
why did you
Miles
make me do
Teller, and
this? Yeah,
Michael B. Jordan.
yeah. Otherwise, it's a completely forgettable movie about nothing. It's the only reason why we'll
Oh,
ever remember it.
it's very forgettable. That was gonna be my main thing. Is I was like I watched this and I've kind of already forgotten a lot of the details. I just know that it's about three guys who promise to not be in a relationship and then they all get into a relationship.
Yeah, and all of the relationships are boring. Nothing interesting happens. There's a weird joke about peeing while you have a boner. That's it. That's it. That's all.
Yeah. It's not a very good movie.
No, it's really not. It's the other bad movie that Michael B. Jordan and Miles Teller did together that's not Fantastic Four.
Apparently it wow. Um it had a budget of 8 million and it got 40.5 probably because it had Zac Efron in it.
Yeah, I think it was received well. Like I think people like it. I just remember it being really forgettable. There's just nothing really
It's
remarkable about
not
it.
it's not bad. It's just very forgettable.
That's what I remember about it.
That's all I really have to say about that
So
one.
you only
It's
have one
forgettable.
more. You only have that was your last rapid fire.
Yeah, now the rest of what I have are my have not scenes,
How is
which
that
are there's
possible?
five.
I have I have I've got two more movies for rapid fire.
How many did you do?
I did one, two, three, four, five, six.
Because I had one,
How did
two.
that happen?
Why am I not seeing them here?
You know what? It's fine. I can reduce one of them to one sentence, and then just do the last one. That's fine.
Three,
Um,
four. I had at least four there.
weird.
Five.
My
I
last
don't
two
know.
are my
To
next
be
one.
to be fair, one of them is the wild robot, which we're doing together.
Right, right. That's still gonna leave me with
That's
one extra.
that's technically one of my movies. And then
Um,
there's the five you gave me.
um, let's.
Which as an aside, I figured we would do that the totally unrelated to both of our topics. One that we watched yesterday at the very end.
Yeah. So okay, I got two more. So I'll the next rapid fire I was gonna do was Final Destination 5, which really is Final Destination. Um, those movies are at least by the fifth one just kind of an exhibition of watching people get brutally killed. It's all it is. The scenes exist to connect people getting brutally killed in graphic ways. It's not really much stuff. The fifth one is trying to develop some sort of lore or like for lack of a better world or like rules. So they've got this thing of like, okay, if you kill a person, then it skips over you, so you live for however long they live. Um, so like the one guy, he accidentally kills a coworker who in the end it turns out that he was gonna die soon anyway. So the guy ends up dying like the next week. Um, and the big thing about the fifth one, and the reason why I watched it was the beginning of that movie freaks me out because every one of these centers around a big catastrophic thing where everyone dies. It's every single one. So
Yeah.
this one, the big thing is it's a bridge, and it's a local bridge in Vancouver called the Lionsgate Bridge, and it legit freaks me out. Like I watched it, and I'm like, it's frightening. There's a level of certain like it being kind of frightening seeing a bridge you recognize and somebody falling through you know when you're on the seawall and you like walk underneath the Lionsgate Bridge, and then there's that point where you can see the thing like the anchors of the bridge and like there's the stones around them.
Yeah.
There's a point where a guy falls through, or a guy or girl falls through a hole in the bridge and cracks it, like their skull on it, and dies instantly. And like that's a legit fear. Like I've had while on that bridge. Like it was frightening enough. Like when I first saw that movie, I wouldn't go on that bridge for years because it freaked me out, and it still kind of does. Now it's like it looks a bit aged, and you could tell it's CGI, obviously, because the bridge is obviously still very much there. But like very
Yeah.
much seeing a landmark. I guess maybe that's just how it feels to live in LA or New York. But like not,
Or San Francisco.
yeah, maybe it's I don't know.
Watching apes go across the San Francisco Bridge and destroying it.
Yeah, like I don't know. For me, it just was like, in the case of this movie, it was a very like normal, um, like catastrophic failure. It's like due to weather, so it's the kind of failure that could happen, and it's like like
Yeah.
it was legit. It was legit scary. But no, my last rapid
Um.
fire is
Also, real quick, I now remember why I have 4 and not 5. You nixed my first one,
which one was that?
The Boy and the Heron.
Oh right. I did nix it. Yeah, that makes sense. And we'll talk about that another time. Um, Yoga Hosers. It's Kevin Smith's. I don't know which movie, but it's him, it's his daughter, and it's Johnny Depp's daughter, and it's a spin-off of. Do you remember, um, Tusk?
Give me a little more than the name.
It's the one where Justin Long gets turned into a walrus. He gets put in a walrus suit.
No, I've never seen that one.
No, but you've heard of it, right?
Don't
No?
think so.
Oh. Yeah, it was based on a story that he heard on his podcast. And the movie's basically Justin Long is a podcaster. His podcast partner is Haley Joel Osment, and he goes to Canada where he is supposed to interview this guy who turns out to be crazy, who sews him into a walrus suit. And during the course of the
Okay.
movie, it's supposed to be part of a 3-part trilogy called the True North Trilogy, culminating in a movie that never came out called Moose Jaws. You'll never guess what Moose Jaws was supposed to be about, Jordan.
Moose?
I'll give you a real. It's called. I'll give you another swing at this, Jordan. It's called Moose Jaws. What do you think it could possibly be about?
It's about moose.
Right, Moose Jaws.
Oh, I get it. It's about moose that go around killing people.
Yes, it's
like
about
Jaws.
It's about Jaws, but it's a moose.
Right. Okay.
That's the entire thing. It's Jaws,
I
but it's a moose.
I'm sorry. It's just the way that you were saying it. I was like, is it a sex joke? Are you making a sex joke?
No, I assume that it's a now that I'm thinking about it, I assume it's a double entendre. It's a reference to Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Yeah, that checks out.
But also
It's just the emphasis in which you were saying. It's about moose jaws. Wink. Moose
Yeah.
jaws. You know, Moose
No, it's
Jaws.
supposed to be Jaws, as in Jaws. You know, the shark.
Yeah, no, I got there eventually. It's just the way you were
Um,
saying it. That's why I was
he
confused.
called it his True North trilogy, and the second one, there's two characters in the first one that are at this convenience store, played by his daughter
Moose Jaw.
Moose Jaws, played by Harley Quinn Smith, his
It
daughter.
doesn't even make any sense.
His two convenience store workers played by his daughter Harley Quinn Smith and Johnny Depp's daughter. And this second one is their movie, and it is very bad. I've buried the lead on this really badly. It is very bad. It's a very bad movie. It's a movie starring teenage girls, written by like a middle aged man. But it's made all so it doesn't. You're just like, that's not what teenagers sound like. Um,
I assume.
I've worked with enough teenage girls over the years to know that's not what teenage girls
Oh,
sound like.
that's fair. I don't work in a place where teenage girls
Um,
are, so I don't interact with them.
and there's just there's there's multiple music numbers in this movie. The movie opens on a very prolonged opening credit sequence where they're playing music, and then midway they stop so they can do another musical number that goes on forever, and then the ending credits is them singing "Oh Canada," and like they're Canadian, right? But it's in that stereotypical way of like they all just like they're like, "Oh, what's in a boot? We're oot in a boot," you know, like that. Where it's like the stereotypical Canadian, like, and
Yeah,
I'm
the
like,
eye rolling kind.
yeah, where it's like, oh, my country is just a prop to you. Like there's no like significant reason. It doesn't add anything to the movie. There's no this could easily take place in Jersey where he's from. Like it just makes my country seem like it's just a prop to you. Like it's just you don't
A
really
joke.
a joke. Yeah, like it's there to be the punchline for so your daughter can sing "Oh Canada." And it's like, yeah, if you ever want to see like nepotism in a movie, his wife is in there playing the mom of the daughter character. So her mom plays her mom in the movie. And the
I
whole
mean, is it nepotism, or do you think it was just to make his daughter's life easier acting wise?
I
She wasn't good enough to pretend that someone else was her mother.
I mean maybe both. Who's to say? And so they had the big conflict of the thing is it turns out that the underneath the store that they work at, the self-proclaimed Fuhrer of Canada has hold on has basically created an entire race of clones named Bratzies. So they are not little Nazi things, and they are made out of sauerkraut and bratwurst, and they're all played.
What is this movie? What are you? Was he high when he? Because I can believe that he was
I
high when he
absolutely
made
believe
this.
he was high when he made this, and yeah, they're called Bratzies, and it turns out that they're made by this Nazi scientist who froze himself and the Bratzies, which caused the Bratzies to not fully develop properly, so they're all little guys, and they all want to stick themselves up people's asses. That's how they kill you, and he wants them to go out and kill the haters and the critics, because this was during that period of time where Kevin Smith was real self-conscious about his work and had this thing against critics. He just was really angry at the critics. He hated how all the critics hated his movies. And so the Nazi scientist wants to kill all the haters and the critics in Canada.
I mean, if I was blitzed out of my mind, this sounds like it would be very entertaining. Otherwise, it
It's
sounds very droll.
there's a couple of really funny cameos. Like there's Kevin Conroy shows up at one point. Um and he's trying to buy cigarettes, and the girls are really there's a lot of references to Clerks. Like there's a running gag where they're making signs, and Harley Quinn, his daughter at one point says, "I'm not even supposed to be
I'm
here
sorry.
today."
His daughter's name is Harley Quinn.
Yep, Harley Quinn Smith. Yeah,
That's kind of amazing.
yeah. Named, I believe he's named after the character. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Um.
That is the second person that I've heard of that has named a character or their child after a Batman related product.
Oh,
Um,
You have to tell
I
me who that is
believe.
later. Um, but no,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
pretty sure.
There's
Now,
a
now, now, now I'm doubting myself.
there were a few jokes that made me laugh, but it was otherwise, yeah, this is really bad. Um, yeah, there's a funny Kevin Conroy cameo where he shows up in the convenience store, and I can't remember what he says, but it ends with him getting really mad, like, "Wow, you girls are mean, eh?" And he walks away, and he takes his son with him. And he's like, "Come on, Robin," and he's wearing all black. I'm like, that's pretty funny. Um, Yeah, she's not a very good actress,
Amusing.
but she's done something recently where I was like, oh, she is a good actress. This is just like the first thing she did. She's just not very good at it. Okay, Johnny Depp's in there as some weird detective character. He's reprising this detective character he played in the Tusk. Um yeah, it's definitely, I like him, but I was like, man, this is not a very good movie. But that's it. That's Yoga Hosers. Very strange. Just very strange time.
Oh, okay. So now we're going on
Not
to the
the
have.
worst movie I saw this week. Just so you know.
Okay.
You know what it is. You know what you
I
did.
have no. I I have no idea what you're talking
You
about.
know what you did.
Um. So we're gonna move on to the for you have not scenes and have scenes and all that. For me, it's just all have not scenes. So we're gonna jump into the first have not seen long format, which is one of the ones that you decreed that I shall watch.
I guess we could call the
Um,
section the uh not a free choice. We call the section not a free choice.
yeah, this is then not a free
We
choice.
are now into not a
Um,
free choice for me as well.
you had me choose. You chose for me the bad guys.
I like that movie.
The 22 animated film, not to be confused with the unrelated 2019 South Korean film, The Bad Guys: Reign of Chaos.
I can
Um,
see how you get those two confused. One's about an animated talking wolf, and one's a DreamWorks
the other
movie.
one is about whatever the South Korean film is.
The other one's from South Korea, and the other one's a DreamWorks movie. Ha ha.
Um, yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's cute. Um,
I really like the art
I
style,
could,
and I like the animation of that movie.
yeah, I do too, and I could see it catching on.
Yeah.
Clearly, it must have done well because it's got getting a sequel.
Yeah,
Um,
it's the first one of DreamWorks is the new era of DreamWorks movie where they started to use that new animation style, which is why it does look a little, it doesn't look as like fluid as like Puss in Boots or The Wild Robot, which we'll talk about later. But it still looks really good. It makes I love the 2D on the face to the 3D models. Like it makes the characters look way more expressive.
yeah, it adds a layer of depth to it, is how
Yeah.
I would put it. And again, we'll talk more about this when we get to the Wild Robot, but it gives them their own style,
Yeah, absolutely.
like
Yeah.
their own, like how each studio has their way. It feels like they found their way.
Yeah, and it's just it's a fun movie. It's a fun heist movie.
It is.
Sam Rockwell as Mr. Wolf is very funny. Uh,
The snake is good too.
yeah, Snake is really good.
Um, like they're all very fun. As I was watching it, um, I think I don't remember if I said this to you. It reminds me of, I think I said it to you during the trailer yesterday for the second one. The bad guys, like the world, the characters, they remind me of the Sly Cooper gang.
Yeah, I can see why you would say that. That's why I'm like, yes, a Sly Cooper movie would totally work.
Absolutely.
I can see why they remind you of
Because
Sly
yeah,
Cooper though.
the big bad wolf very much makes me think of like the criminal with a heart of gold.
Right, right.
Um, like they fit that role very well. Yeah, it's fun. I have a lot more to say about it. It's a pretty paint by numbers story, but it's a lot of fun and
It's
it's very cute.
cute. It's
And I
cute.
absolutely, probably when it comes to streaming, will watch the second one.
I will definitely eventually watch the second one. Eventually.
That's my that's the bad guys. This was one of the shorter conversational periods that we are going to have because the next one, which is really two combined into one, um that's going to be its own YouTube video. I feel it.
I feel it happening. Okay, Jordan, my first half scene. This little movie called Death Note. This movie's garbage crap. No, it's Death Note 2017. It's the American adaptation of the Japanese anime and manga Death Note. And let me tell you, Jordan, I'm stalling because it is not very good. It's not even that it's just that it's bad, which it is. It's bad. It's a very bad movie, just in its own right. I thought it was 2 hours and 20 minutes. Google said it was 2 hours and 20 minutes. I opened it to find out it was an hour 40. And I'm like, my goodness, this maybe needed to be 2 hours and 20 minutes. But okay, there's just so much wrong with it. Like,
So wait, you wanted it to be longer?
no, I want it to be short, but I think it probably needed to be longer.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that's always kind of the issue with when you take and as you were describing that the Japanese version, I kind of was thinking the same thing. When you take an anime and try to make it into a movie, it very rarely works
it.
because
Here's what I'll say.
you're taking 20 something episodes, and Avatar had the same issue. The when I watched those the two live action or the one live action um Full Metal Alchemist one, like usually when you take an anime and try to put to try to put 25 episodes into like even a 2 hour thing, you're cutting a lot
Well,
out,
in the case of
like a
that,
lot.
in the case of that, the live action Japanese one is that one very much is like I could feel like these are several episodes or several storylines that have been condensed into one thing, and it makes the movie feel very
Yeah.
disjointed and very segmented, right? It doesn't feel like a flowing narrative. It feels like chunks that have been strewn together. Whereas this, it doesn't feel that way because it's a bad adaptation of the show. It's it's doing things from the show out of a sense of obligation rather than actually doing them well. Like, I'm going to start off with, um, he's lights. They get light wrong. I to borrow your phrasing, they get light all wrong. Where he's not really a sociopath. He feels guilty about what he's doing. He eventually gives it up because he only kills people out of necessity. And the way he kills people, big thing about Light in the Japanese version is he wants to get caught, or certainly he wants people.
He wants to be known.
He wants to be known. That's how I would put it. Yeah. Whereas, and how he's killing people is like he kills people with the heart attacks. So it looks like God is literally like snatching the heart out of them, the life out of them. Right. That's the
Well, it's
idea.
also, yeah, it's for that. It's for the metaphorical reasons, and it's also because, yeah, then people tend to notice a pattern, and when it's a pattern of people keep having heart attacks, that's not a coincidence.
Right.
Someone is doing it.
Whereas
Someone is judging them.
Whereas in this movie, all of the deaths he does are random accidents. So like the one guy, he has him get killed by like falling on a butcher knife, and then later in the movie, the dad's like, "I figured out it was you." How? How could light possibly cause a random accident? Whereas like a slew of heart attacks, you could be like, "Oh, he's using some sort of chemical compound." There's any number of earthly explanations to how he's managing to give these people heart attacks, right? Whereas in this movie, like Elv hits a point where he figures it out, but there's no reason for him to. He can't have figured it out. Like there's nothing connecting Light to him, but he has to because movie. Like it's just one of those
Yeah.
things where he figures this stuff out because he has to, because he's Light. Which leads me to my thing of like this movie is at its worst when it's trying to adapt elements of the show and are the of the original story. And it's not that I don't think, because I think people are going to take away from this, oh, it has to be Japanese or this story is intrinsically Japanese. And
No,
I don't think
I
it
don't think it
is.
does.
I think you can do Light. It's all about doing Light properly. You can put Americanness on top of it. But like he's a highly emotional they try to introduce, they basically say that he's not the evil one. Their version of Misa is, who is in this version Mia, but Mia was always being used.
Yeah, she was being taken advantage of by
Yeah,
Light. And like one thing is that like they very much try to portray she's not stupid.
Yeah.
That's a point that they very much make. She's not stupid. She's just naive.
Like
And so Light fully takes advantage of that
whereas
naiveness.
this movie is like she's the bad guy. She's pulling the strings. And they also add a bunch of this movie's all about the rules. So number 1 is like instead of it being Ryuk gets bored and he drops the death note, now it's his job to give it to people. So he takes it around and he gives it to people. And instead of just making it so you renounce it, it now takes 7 days before it switches to a new owner. But anyone can use it if they have it. Anyone can use it, but only the owner of the death note can see Ryuk. But anyone can use it. But she
I'm pretty sure that is how that works.
no, in the original, it's you just have to touch the Death Note in order to see Ryuk.
I mean, yeah. Well, yeah.
You just have to
I more
touch
meant
it.
the any I more meant the anyone being able to use it.
Oh yeah, anyone can use it, but in the original, it's you as long as you touch it, you can see Ryuk.
Yeah. And then the second you let go, you can't see him anymore.
I don't remember. I just remember that there's the whole bit at the end where he's talking to the investigative people. He's not telling them anything.
Yeah, it's been too long since I've seen the end part of
Um,
it. I don't
and
specifically
then they also
remember
add a
that.
bit where it's oh if you write a person's name in the notebook, but you burn the notebook, um, you burn the page before they're about to die, it cancels it out, but you can only do it one time.
I mean, okay, yeah, that wasn't an actual thing from the
And so
original.
at the end, there's a bit where he's like where he kills her basically, and she falls, and as she's falling, the page with her boyfriend's name on it catches fire, and it burns up, so he doesn't die, but she does. It's really stupid. Um, and it's implied basically that
Yeah,
Ryuk is the
the
one who
thing is
wants people
that
like he's the Grim Reaper. He's the one who wants people to die. Basically, he's the only god. He's death. He is not a god of death. He is the god of death in this context.
yeah, the thing no, the thing is that you can absolutely do an American version of Death Note, but I don't think it should be a movie. I think I think it would be interesting to see a TV version.
I mean, yes, but if you must make it okay, I have two solutions for this. Number one, the thing that's really the only thing that's wrong with this movie really is that yeah, there's some fun cinematography. Oh, I mean, also there's they fuck up L left, right, center. He like freak. I mean, you remember this movie? He freaks out up, down, and
Not
left. Um,
not super well,
the guy,
but I remember it being bad.
I will say the guy playing L, he does a really good job of playing L. He is being let down by the writing. Like the writing is bad. He's being let down by that. But they're like he's doing all the mannerisms. He sits in the chair the way that L does. He's got that fast speaking way that L talks. He's a highly but the problem is they want to do this like oh it's a battle of wits thing that they want to do from the original. But this version of Light isn't smart. He's just a regular
Oh.
guy. Like that's kind of the whole bit. He's not a genius. He's not playing 3D chess. He's not super smart. He's not be competing with L on an intellectual level. But no, my two
So th-
solutions
so so they got him wrong.
they got him wrong. Yeah. But my two solutions to this are one of two. You either you just make them right and you have it where he's like very smart, intellectual, and he's part of a task force and it just takes place in America. You do a one-to-one adaptation, or a better idea I had to fix this movie as it is because they kind of imply it a little bit, but because there's a big there's a subplot where Light is like, oh, there's already names in this notebook. Somebody has been using this. So it's like one rewrite, just one more rewrite. You make it where this takes place in the Death Note world, but it's not an adaptation, and you change his name. So he's not Light. He's like, I can't remember. They give him a different last name, but call him.
Carl.
I was gonna say Larry because it started with an L, but whatever.
No, he's not Light. So you got to make it as far away from Light as possible.
Steven.
Carl.
Okay, Carl. You make it so Carl basically Ryuk drops the notebook again. Carl finds it and does Akira, and because he's like at one point he's like, oh, Kira in Japanese it sort of means killer, and they make it look that that Kira is from Japan. So just make it where instead of like that he comes up with it, make it where he's copying Kira and he's a copycat killer, and Ryuk dropped the notebook with him, and have it where L exists, but he's now this black guy. He's a different L. But he's a different L. He's not the original L, and L is a title, and he's the new current L. So it's still an idea of like L versus this guy, but this guy just he's
But
another.
basically, what you're saying is make this into a sequel of Death Note.
Yeah, kind of not a
In,
sequel,
in,
but like
in,
a
instead of no, I mean, I full on. I think you could absolutely make it where it's a sequel, where this takes place after the original L or the original Kira failed, after
yeah.
Light failed,
I didn't mean
and
a
Ryuk is like, it's like 10 years later or something. Ryuk is bored again, and so he's trying to recreate the situation he had with Light.
yeah. They did do that. There's a third one of the Japanese one that I think that's the plot of it, but more I meant more like. Yeah, I guess
Also,
theoretically sequel, but I more
I
meant like
very
a at the same time
I
quote.
very Also, I very rarely have like an exact casting of who I think would play a good character, but for for an American version of Death Note where Light is actually portrayed as hyper smart and light, Jesse Eisenberg from Social Network.
Oh, it's funny that you said that's funny that you say that because for me, not for Light, I went for L. I was like, he'd be great as L. I had that the
I think he'd be
way
better. I think he'd be better as Light.
the because the way that the guy in this movie was portraying him reminded me of Jesse Eisenberg. He has a lot of similar those weird like ticks he does. Like, whoop, whoop, ha. I was like that would be really suited for his characterization of Lex Luthor. I'm like that would be a good L. Like he's add the weird
Yeah, I
like
don't know. I think he would work better as Light,
um but yeah, just
personally.
bad movie. Bad movie. Bad adaptation.
No,
Bad movie.
bad adaptation, which made it a bad movie.
I think it's a bad movie and it's a bad I think it's both.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I think it's a bad movie because it's a bad
Yeah.
adaptation.
But anyway, that's Death Note 2017. Crap movie.
So
Moving right along.
it's time, Justin. It's time for us to talk about the worst movie ever
God.
created.
I mean, considered one of
The
the worst
worst.
movies ever created.
No. It is the worst, most nonsensical movie ever created, which is called The Room.
It's the room.
Which then spawned the Disaster Artist. But we can't talk about that before we at least talk a little bit about The Room.
The room.
The Room, made by Tommy Wiseau, is bad. It is a bad movie. It is a
They
bad,
fascinatingly.
nonsensical movie.
Fascinatingly
No,
bad
Justin,
movie.
we're we're not talking about the behind the scenes stuff yet. We're not there yet. We have to talk
No,
about the movie itself.
but it's a movie that makes you go, how did this? Well, for me, the first time I watched it, I didn't know what it was. So it made me mad because I didn't understand the concept of like fun bad movies where it's like you enjoy it because it's bad. But it is a truly fascinating. You're like, what were you thinking? What was the thought process?
Just so much,
So many
so much.
questions. So many questions.
Like there's inconsistencies from scene to scene. There's the fact that I don't believe that this 22-year-old woman would have any interest in Johnny.
No.
Like
The
if
sex
she
with
was
the
with
belly
him for
button.
7. There's the fact that they were together for 7 years and she's 22, which means that she started dating him when she was 15.
Ooh, gross.
Something like that. She's supposed to be 20 something, I think. Um, and they say that, yeah, they're in a set, and people apparently behind the scenes pointed that out to him multiple times, and he still went along with it. People all along the making of this actively made suggestions to try and make this less bad, and he spat in the face of that, and damn it all, made the thing that he made, which you got to respect.
I mean, hey, we're still talking about it. One of the most famous independent
It's
films of all time.
it has been described as the Citizen Kane of bad movies.
Indeed, it has been.
Uh,
Indeed, it has been.
I've not seen Citizen Kane, but that feels like an appropriate
Yeah, it's pretty appropriate. Yeah, pretty appropriate description.
um yeah, it was a box office bomb.
What's the room
So
about, Jordan? Jordan, in 30 seconds or less, describe the plot of the room.
uh Johnny's a
And go.
banker. Johnny has a person, a woman who's going to be his wife. She is a sociopath and sleeps with his best friend. And then Johnny finds out and ends up killing himself.
And they throw a good old American football.
A lot. Also, he has a weird adoptive son who wants to sleep with his future wife, and he's like, and when he confesses to that, Johnny doesn't have the like any sort of normal reaction, but he's like, "That's okay. Love is love. Love is okay. That's fine. She's not gonna act on it. It's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll fix it in post. I mean, it's fine. Line." Line! What's my line?
I did not hit
Line!
her. I did not. I
I
did
didn't. I
not.
I did not hit her. She's fucking lying.
Hello,
Oh, so bad.
hi, Kitty.
Hello,
Oh, hi,
Hi,
doggy.
Mark. Hello, hi, doggy.
Hi, doggy.
Hello, Mark. It's
Yeah.
fucking bullshit. I did not hit her. Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
It's just a weird performance. I say, man, everyone gives Johnny a lot of shit in that movie. Everyone's performance in that movie is bad. All of them, they're all bad.
Oh, well, I mean, to be fair, some of the performances can't help but be bad because the writing was atrocious.
I mean, yeah, the writing is very
You
bad.
know, the writing is very bad. It's all very bad. There's so much about it that's bad, Justin.
You're like, what?
Um,
What were you thinking, man?
there's just, I mean, I have the Wikipedia open here. I could read through like some of the there's a long section of inconsistencies, which I could go through
Give me a
just a
few. Give me a
few.
few. Give me a few.
Here's one of the most egregious ones. Um, in the first scene, Johnny enters the rooftop in the middle of a tirade about being wrongfully accused of domestic abuse, and becomes abruptly cheerful upon seeing Mark. And a few moments later, he laughs inappropriately upon learning that a friend of Mark's had been severely beaten.
Oh yeah, right. I forgot about that.
And on set, Sestero and Sandy repeatedly tried to convince him that it should not be comical and he shouldn't be laughing, and he just kept laughing. He apparently thought it was domestic abuse. Very funny. What else? Continuity errors. Um, Mark attempts to kill Peter by throwing him off a roof after Peter expresses belief that Mark is having an affair with Lisa. Seconds later, Mark pulls Peter back from the edge of the roof, apologizes, and they continue their previous conversation with no acknowledge of the fact that he just tried to murder him. Let's see. Uh, Oh, yeah. At one point, principal male characters congregate in an alley behind Johnny's apartment to play catch with a football while wearing tuxedos for some reason. Uh, when Mark arrives, he is revealed to have shaved his beard, and the camera slowly zooms on his face while dramatic music plays on the soundtrack. Nothing that is said or occurs during the scene has any effect on the plot. The scene ends abruptly when the men decide to return to Johnny's apartment after Peter trips. Why were they in tuxedos? Nobody knows.
Wasn't it? I can't remember. Isn't it? Because at one point there was a subplot or something to do with a wedding that they cut out.
I in the behind the scenes stuff, I think so. But I in the movie, there's no
No.
acknowledgement or reason why. Um. Inconsistent things that are mentioned once and then never mentioned again. Um, what's her name's mother mentioned she has breast
Oh
cancer at one
yeah,
point,
I have
and
breast
that goes.
cancer.
I found out I have breast cancer.
I found out I have
Nothing.
breast cancer.
So funny enough for that one that I just mentioned, the tuxedo one, um, apparently Wazao received enough questions about the scene that he just decided to address it in a Q&A segment featured on the DVD release. Rather than explaining the scene, though, Wazao states only that playing football without the proper protective equipment is fun and challenging. That's all he said about that.
Of course.
Um,
Tommy.
Uh, Sestero has been questioned about the significance of Mark's shaving, though his only response for several years was, "If people only knew." He describes in The Disaster Artist that Wazao insisted he shave his beard on set just so Wazao would have an excuse for Johnny to call Mark babyface.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wazao's
And he resisted because
Wazow's
he
own nickname for Cestero, and that the revealing of beardless Mark would be a moment. Cestero further detailed how the football tuxedo scene was concocted on set by Wazow, who never explained the significance of the scene to the cast or crew, and insisted that the sequence be filmed at the expense of other relevant scenes. This movie was bad, is the point. Bad and
so okay.
Oh, so that's the room itself. So now, having been said that, there's the Disaster Artist movie and the Disaster Artist book. If you're looking for a more true, true, um, telling or more accurate telling, I should say, of what actually happened, listen to slash read the book
Are we gonna do
because that goes into a lot of
we're gonna
detail.
do the book and the movie together later?
Well, I figured we would do them now.
You want to do them now? Do them now?
Well, I mean, unless you wanna have to edit the all the Disaster Artist related stuff together later.
Uh, yeah, I guess we'll do it now. Sure, why not? Why not?
I figured because they were all one thing, we would do them all together.
Yeah.
Um,
Disaster's book. Yeah,
so the
the book is quite good. I fully recommend the book. If you want to hear this, like in order to fully appreciate that, you gotta watch The Room. That's the big thing.
Yeah. Like, in the order to me in which you should experience this is you watch The Room so you can just see the infamously bad movie.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
you listen to the audiobook to hear the true behind the scenes of kind of what happened, as told by Mark, um, the character Mark,
Great,
the actor
Greg Sestero.
Greg Sestero, and then Hollywood's interpretation of that book is the movie,
Which is funny
which
because the movie is a way
has a lot of
more.
movement. The movie has a lot of moments which are just flat out not true.
Yeah.
Like, they're fictional. They don't happen. And this is where Justin and I have a disagreement. Well, slight disagreement. I think we both agree on the major point of it. The movie exists to soften Wazao.
I don't think that it exists
Whether
to exist to soften him. Certainly, they did soften him. Would be I think is indisputable.
um
Who the intent of which and who chose to is definitely up for debate. Whether or not he
up
directly
for debate.
demanded it, I don't think he demanded it. Did he ask for it? I don't think he did because the thing about Tommy is I don't think he's self aware. Like I don't
I
think
think I think how do I word this?
I think he might be
I don't think that it
now,
was.
but
I don't think. I don't think that it was necessarily having reflected a little more. I don't necessarily think that it was entirely Johnny. I think Johnny maybe jokingly was like, "Just make sure you make me look good." Ha ha
yeah,
ha.
that I could
Ha.
believe. Yeah, that I could believe.
I think that upon selling his book, Greg, I think Greg asked them to be
Oh,
nice.
I'm sure that probably he did. Yeah, I was, or certainly, I think probably James Franco and the people involved that they decided to be, for also for for the sake of the movie, they want it to be a feel good thing, and it really wants you to root for Tommy. It wants you to feel bad for Tommy.
Yeah,
They wants
yeah,
you to
it
be
really
like
does.
he's just a sad, weird guy, even though yeah, the book
And
paints him as
Hollywood
being
is out, and Hollywood is out to get him.
right.
You should feel bad for him. What he did was brave, and he succeeded. And so there's a section here in the Wikipedia which has an accuracy part. So I can actually
And
tell you some of the
also,
things.
to be fair to the movie versus the book, yes, the movie is very much an adaptation of the book, but the book is also entirely from Greg's perspective. We don't know what Tommy's perspective of this movie is. At least I don't know what his perception of it is, or his perspective of it is.
Yeah, that's very true. And that's a big thing with the movie is the movie very much gets not only Johnny or not only Tommy wrong, but Greg.
It
It
gets
gets Greg
it
very
gets the
wrong too.
events of what happens to Tommy kind of wrong, but man, is it a good impression.
The portrayal of that's true. The portrayal of Tommy is fairly
It's
accurate.
really
The
quite
portrayal
good.
of the portrayal of Greg, I don't think is. I don't
No,
think
I
it's
don't.
done very well.
Yeah, he's too. It's a different kind of pretty boy. Is how I would put it.
Um, yeah, I would agree with that. Um, so I'm gonna read through some of the differences between the real life events and the movie. In the movie, Tommy gets the inspiration to write The Room as a feature film. In the original one, it was in actual real life, I should say, he was inspired to make a play
Yeah,
after seeing The Talented Mr. Ripley.
yeah.
In the movie, his Greg's mother is not doesn't seem to have an accent of any sort. In real life, she is a native Spanish
Um,
speaker and has a French accent.
it's also important to note that Tommy Wiseau was very much inspired by the works of Tennessee Williams. So that in particular, there's the very famous "You're tearing me apart, Lisa," is very much a reference to the movie Rebel Without a Cause, I believe. James Dean. They very much. I don't know if your Wikipedia mentions this, but in real life and in the book, Tommy is very obsessed with James Dean. Like there's a major
Mhm.
bit where they go to like where he died, I think, to the car where the car crash was.
Movie too.
Yeah, but he like in the book, like he's way more obsessed with them. Like he wants
Hello?
to. Oh no!
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, you're cutting out, Justin.
Dang it! Hold on, give it a minute.
The stream is doing the circly thing as well.
Give it a minute. Are we good
And
now?
your picture has cut out.
Can you hear me, Jordan?
Can you hear me?
Can
Are
you
you
hear me?
back? I think you're back. Um yeah, no, they're very so the scene where he says you're tearing me apart, Lisa, that was originally supposed to be a different line there and he changed it in the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Um
But yeah, the movie very
but
much cuts out his obsession
another
with James Dean. Was my point.
yes, yes it does. Well, a little bit. It softens it.
Yeah, it's supposed to. The idea
He
though is
does.
supposed to be like a Tennessee Williams mid American
They,
style
in the
drama.
movie, they do have in the movie they do have a scene where they're watching that scene, so there is
Oh,
reference
okay.
to it.
Yeah, yeah. That's his big
Um,
because it's like his whole thing is he thought he was this. It was this big drama. That was his whole thing.
one of the big things that the film early on changes is the film makes it look like Sestero eagerly accepts the role of Mark and gets it right away, and they go into filming, and he was always Mark, and that's not how it happened. In
Yeah,
real life, Sestero reluctantly took the role after Wiseau offered to buy him a car and pay him a lot of money to do it, and they actively screwed. Well, he Wiseau actively screwed the guy who was originally going to play Mark out of the role,
yep. And
so that
also, it leaves out the part that wasn't technically an actor when he first signed onto the room. He was I forget the term, doula, not doula. But he was basically like an
oh
assistant. Greg, when Greg first signs on to the
oh Greg
movie,
Greg was a intern
yeah,
when he first signs on.
yeah, he
He
doesn't
everyone around the cast thinks he's an intern, and he's working as a he's doing script
Script supervisor.
Script supervisor
Yeah, he's a script supervisor.
in secret
Yeah.
um uh uh the restaurant scene where Tommy accosts a room film producer never happened.
No, and the film producer, I think, in this movie, I believe it's Judd Apatow. I'm pretty sure it's Judd Apatow.
Apatow, yeah, it's Apatow.
Yeah.
And he says that James Franco tricked him into playing a version of himself as a generic asshole producer.
Tricked him.
Though he didn't initially realize that when being cast, Franco and Apatow claimed that the latter is not that bad in real life. He was apparently he was supposed to be an amalgam of other producers.
Oh, funny.
Um, uh, another big change. While turmoil on set is depicted in the film, the real life production went through three different sets of crew.
Yeah.
Whereas
The movie really dialed.
the movie only has him fire two members.
But that's what's funny about everyone's always like, oh, the Hollywood version's always more exaggerated. No, if anything, the opposite is true. They really downplayed a lot of what he did.
It tames a lot.
Yeah, he's a real bad guy. Treated a lot of people like shit.
Another what I would say minor one is in the film depicts the line "beat her up so bad she ended up in a hospital on Guerrero Street" as scripted. In real life, he ad-libbed Guerrero Street, and Tommy was pissed. Da, 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 da. At the time, the disaster artist. Oh, the Bryan Cranston scene never happened.
Bryan Cranston. Remind me what that one is. Oh, were they?
At the time, the disaster artist is set. Greg had never met Bryan Cranston in real life and was not forced to choose between The Room and shooting an episode of Malcolm in the Middle. He was reluctant to shave his beard due to wanting to disassociate himself from The Room.
Right.
That's why he had a beard in real life, because he was like, once this comes out, if this comes out and it's terrible, I can shave the beard and nobody's gonna ever know I was in it.
Right. Well, I know that wasn't the
But
movie also cuts out him going off and
in the movie version, they can't have that be the excuse because he was excited to be a part of it from the very beginning. He was never embarrassed, right? So they have to change that.
Right. Also, don't they also cut out him going to be in Puppet Master? Because that's the whole reason why he wants to be in the room.
Yeah, they've cut out a lot of the before the room stuff. So like the reason why Tommy goes and gets his SAG card is because Greg does.
Yeah.
Everything that Tommy does is in mimicry of Greg.
Yeah.
Goes and gets his SAG card, tries to go on comes to LA, sends his stuff out to a bunch of producers. But unlike Tommy, who has success, or not Tommy, unlike Greg, who has success, Tommy has none, which is why in real life he hits a point where him and Tommy have a big fight basically, and I keep saying him and Greg. Tommy and Greg have a big fight, and then Tommy fucks off and says he's going to Europe, and that's where when he's in Europe he writes The Room, and like years later he comes back and reconnects with Greg, and he's like, I finally finished it, and like he's grown, he's like they haven't talked in years. It's not like this where it's like he does it and they're friends the entire time and they're best buddies. This really softens a lot of Tommy.
The book also kind of implies that that Tommy might have a thing for Greg. Like he might have a crush on him.
See, I never got that.
Like so, his jealousy and he becomes obsessed. It becomes like when he moves in, it borders on.
Yeah, like I definitely see the obsession. I don't see it as a romantic thing. I see it as he's young. He has the success that Tommy wanted when he was his age. He's jealous of him.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
That cannot be. Yeah.
He wants everything that Greg has. But I've never, when I was listening to it and in the movie and in everything, I don't see it as a romantic thing. I don't see it as he romantically wants to be with Greg. It's he wants to be Greg.
Yeah, I don't know. For me the book it gave essentially that he was obsessed with them in a way that either was or was not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, he was obsessed with them. I just don't see it as a romantic
which the movie cuts out almost completely.
Yeah, to a big degree.
Yeah.
That's where I say the movie really, really, really,
Yeah.
really, 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 really does.
Yeah. Well, it cuts out a lot of
The
the more
biggest,
sinister
probably
stuff
the
for sure.
biggest change between reality and this movie, though. Oh, you're still there?
I'm here.
Hello,
I'm here.
hello.
I'm here.
The biggest thing that it changes, though, is the fact that in the movie, the room is being met with laughter and applause. The real screening was not received with that. It
No,
was
I
received poorly, and many audiences walked out.
yeah, I imagine. Yeah, oh yeah, the bit where they all give him a standing ovation at the end. Yeah, I was like,
Like
yeah,
they're
there's
all
no way that
standing and
happened.
cheering, and no, that's not. No,
No, he
no,
didn't start
no.
to.
No, most of the audiences apparently left within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, they apparently. Well, I mean, to be fair, eventually people did. I guess that apparently that's a sort of
It
a
took
metaphor
years.
for people's
It
eventual
took
appreciation for it. But
it took years to
yeah,
develop a
we
cult
love it. We
status.
love it ironically now, but back in the day, no, people did not love it ironically. You had to get there.
Um, Apparently there's never been like a final um like what he spent on it versus what it made. But from what is supposedly true, he spent upwards of $5 million on it, and it made 1,200 ish.
But by this point, it's had to have made its money back in
Oh,
terms
oh, if
of
you if on well, see, that's where I'm looking at the disaster artist itself. Sorry, that's very different.
yeah, that movie did
That
quite
has a
well.
very
That movie did quite
that
well.
that is a very so you keep talking. I'm gonna try and bring back
Yeah,
up
because I'm
to.
like, there's no. It's surely the room had to because he's done fan screenings and Q&As. Like, it's a very popular thing to
Oh,
go
there
and
was a
like,
while there where for years it was a yearly thing where they would play it.
yeah.
Uh, so okay, Wikipedia for the room now. I don't know if this is like a continual thing that they've updated over the years, but currently it says that it had a budget of 6 million, and under the section which says box office, it says 5.2 million.
So it's just made its money back.
The
May-
room from the room box office mojo archived from the original on July 25th, 2023, retrieved June 8th, 2024. So yeah, I think that's the 5.2 is as of like this year.
That's funny. I mean, okay, it made some of its money. I have to imagine that must not count like fan screenings and Q&As and speaking
Probably
engagements and
not.
personal appearances and like book sales in the case of Greg. Him, yeah, he shows up in the Disaster Artist and in my opinion, a fun cameo. I think that's kind of funny. But yeah, him getting a standing ovation at the end for this movie is where when you're like, I believe that he came in and pulled an ego trip. That's where I'm like, I could believe that. But like, there's just this weird innocence about Tommy, where like I genuinely don't think he has intentional bad intentions.
But he doesn't have an in it. If you listen to the audio book, he doesn't have innocence.
I don't know.
Not really.
He doesn't come from what I recall anyway. He doesn't seem to come across as having self awareness. Like he doesn't seem
But
to have self awareness.
again, if you read the book, read/listen to the book, yes, he does. The
Yeah.
car the car scene where he has Greg in the car, and he's why did you tell the people about me, why did you, and he's like angry, and he's upset, and he's manipulative, and it isn't until basically Greg says a particular thing and puts him back at ease, like, and basically once Tommy feels like he's in control again,
So
that he goes.
you're saying the
Sorry.
weirdness is an act, is what you're trying to say.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm saying it's an
Fair.
act, and he uses it to take advantage. I think he absolutely has the man is rich for a reason.
True. True.
Like, from what we and we people don't know everything about him, but from what I gather, from the Disaster Artist book and from like what he is a fairly savvy businessman.
I
He's not a good
mean,
director, not a good filmmaker, but he was capable of amassing a large amount, enough money to make this thing.
true, true. That he could just
So
endless bottomless
that
well of
requires
cash.
that requires a certain amount of intelligence.
Yeah,
So for him to have just a simple clause in there, which is like you like try to make me look good. Yeah,
I could
I
see.
I
I
believe
can
it.
both believe it and not believe it at the same time. It's just one of those things where it's like I can believe that he didn't need to. They just chose to because like they to be fair, they didn't purchase the rights to his life. They purchased the rights to the Disaster Artist, which does not paint him well. They didn't need to paint him well. They didn't need to make him look good.
Sure,
Like
but again, uh, so I believe Greg would have had to get permission to write the book in the first place.
not
You can't
necessarily.
uh, you can't just write things that without like that's slander.
Not if
You
they're.
have to you have to get permission.
I mean,
You have to get
you don't
you have to
have
get a
to.
person to sign off on a book before you can put their name in it.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure if he's not saying anything, if he does feel it's slanderous, he can choose to sue, but he could not choose to sue. That depending on what it is, it would also
Sure, I
make him
mean,
look
yes,
bad.
absolutely you could choose not to or choose to, but the point is that they wouldn't make a thing that he could do them about.
No, no, no. They
So
would not
so
necessarily. Not unless
they
they
would
didn't care or that he was a specifically like a lot. Like, cause there's times where like obviously when you make someone look bad, and like for example, they didn't get Trump's permission to make that Trump biopic that makes him look like a rapist. So like you don't have
and
to get
and he's trying to sue them.
right. Yeah. If I say if you don't want to get sued, you theoretically ask permission, but you don't have to. I guess is my point.
It just definitely to
They
me
clearly chose
every
to because he's in it.
every part of this movie A rewrites history and B makes Tommy look better.
You're not
So
wrong. It does. It definitely. The
it's
fact
just
that it
it's
ends with a standing ovation does make me go like, yeah, probably. He probably. There's at some point somebody said something around him or involving him. I'm guessing
I
maybe.
mean
I could believe Greg would look if you were gonna get Tommy involved. You have to. You have to stroke his ego. Perhaps it was his idea. I just don't necessarily think it was Tommy's idea. I guess is my point.
yeah, that's fair. I just ultimately clearly someone did
Yeah. Oh, for
because
sure.
this is absolutely rewriting history to make
Yeah.
Tommy look
The
like an
book.
angel.
The book is way more interesting. And yeah. I to be fair, I would love to hear an articulate version of his perspective on this. Like an honest to God one. Like what do you think of this 20 years later? Do you honestly think this is your best work? Cuz
I mean,
he has made a movie that is apparently quite good.
I make the argument that if you want it, so okay, hot take. My argument, you want reality, go read the book. You want Tommy's version of events,
Yeah, watch
watch
the
this
movie.
movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that really like this feels like we're watching, and for better or worse, this feels like we're seeing the events through his eyes.
It does. I do agree. I do agree with that.
Like
Jordan.
he went to Greg and was like, "I want you to be Mark," and in reality, Mark resisted. In Tommy's head, he said yes right away.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's a fair point. Yeah, maybe that's a very fair point. Jordan, is that it for The Room, Tommy Wiseau, and The Disaster
Oh
Artist?
yeah, I don't think I can do. I don't think I can do any more of him.
My goodness, what a unique character. Yeah, I enjoy him. I think guys like him to a degree are good for filmmaking because they're just weird. They're odd people.
He makes me think of William Hung.
I can see why you would say that. We got famous for being bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, Jordan. We have to talk about the worst thing I watched this week. We have to talk about I can't do things. I can't do it. I can't do the theme song. Jordan.
Bridget Jones' Diary.
No, my final half seen Jordan, and I hadn't. I say half seen in air quotes because I never watched this thing in its entirety, but I've seen because in case you don't know, I've mentioned it before. I used to work at a movie theater. A big part of
What? You've never once
I've
mentioned this.
never brought this up.
I don't think the audience has any idea.
But part of working in a movie theater is doing what's known as theater checks. Make sure everything's okay. So I had seen most of this movie in chunks, and also, and we're gonna get into it. It was usually the last movie playing, so I had to wait a lot of times for this stupid movie to end so I can go home. This movie was crap. I hated it. I hated it so much. I'm not even gonna dance around it. It fucking sucked.
Ba-da, ba-da-da, ba. Da, 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 da,
Are
da,
you
da,
singing the
da.
theme song?
That's the theme
Da, da,
song,
da,
right?
da, 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 da. I don't know if I'm doing it right. I don't think I'm doing it
I'm
right.
pretty sure that's it.
It was
So as a 30-something-year-old man who this movie is definitely not for, how did it make you feel, Justin?
okay.
What emotions did it bring from the depths of your soul?
Rage? No. I okay. I'll start. I'll start.
Ra-
Uh,
Rage?
I'll start. I'll start with this. Very much, I did have the thing of, am I just a guy or I had to text my female friends and be like, do women find this relatable? Like, at all? Like, I guess maybe that's my point. I'll start with this. Do women find Sex in the City relatable? Because there are several points in this movie where it's just a bunch of rich white women. Like, Samantha is living in LA, but constantly travels to New York to visit the girls. And, like, at one point, Miranda talks about how she's gonna have her nanny trek up and down the.
Miranda.
That's the
She's the
redhead.
redhead, right?
Yeah. She's gonna have this nanny like trek up and down the city between her and her ex-husband's place. And I'm like, are there women out there who relate to this? Like, because I'm not a woman, I'm not gonna be like definitively be like this isn't relatable, but it just doesn't feel relatable. Also,
Women in their wasn't this show patently made for women in their 40s?
I don't know. Being that I didn't watch the show and this doesn't make me want to watch it. Like I thought this was okay. Man, just this is gonna be a disjointed mess. The number one thing is number one thing is it's too long. First and foremost, it's 2.5 hours. It's way too long. It goes for an eternity. I felt I had aged 1,000 years watching it. I felt like I've been watching it for 10 years. I think I sent you the one clip of the agonizingly long song, them singing Old Lang Syne in Gaelic or Irish or whatever for just like an eternity. And it's structured so badly. It's structured less like a movie and more like a season of television. It just feels like this was like a season of television's worth of ideas that they squished into a 2.5 hour long movie. Because you've got stuff like, okay, so Miranda, who has been busy with work and kids, whatever, is not able to keep up with her marriage. And so her husband cheats on her with some woman and they break up. And Carrie, who has been with Big post the end of the series, they've been together for 3 years now and they want to move in together, but they can't, or they don't want to, because they're not married. The house will be in his name and he will have all of the assets. So they decide to get married. And then Samantha is living in LA with her hot, emotionally attentive boyfriend who only cares about her feelings and what she cares about and just wants to love her and be with her. But she is unhappy because he doesn't love her enough because she only cares about her. Like at one point she wants to buy this ring and he buys it instead of her and then gives it to her as a gift. And she's upset about this because now every time she looks at this ring, she will think of him instead of her. So she ends up at the end of the movie leaving him because she's a massive narcissist.
So the real important question here for me, Justin, is how many minutes into this did it take for your eyes to glaze over?
About 10.
Wow, you made 10. You made 10 minutes, eh?
The first
that's impressive.
A significant portion of the opening of this movie is just her recapping the events of the series. In case you didn't watch the series, she literally showed
That was considerate of them
It
because you had never seen the
it's
series.
it's
See,
li-
they were just thinking about you,
it's
Justin.
literally a clip show of just all the stuff that happened in the movie. So you're like, okay, this is where the characters are now. Got it, makes sense. And like, yeah, it's at one point she's getting married. Okay, so the big conflict of this movie is, and this is one of those like maybe I'm just a guy moments. I'm sure some woman's gonna chew me out, but like it just seems like Carrie overreacts in this movie because okay, Big, who is a guy who has notorious cold feet about getting married, the day before he gets married, talks to Miranda, who is going through troubles in her marriage, and this causes him to have cold feet. So he almost doesn't show up. But like it's not like he like leaves her standing at the altar. He just kind of drives past the wedding, realizes he's made a mistake, and drives back. And she like gets up and like flips out at him and starts screaming at him, and like you've humiliated me in front of everybody. And I'm like, but how? All of the guests are just kind of arriving. Like the ceremony hasn't begun yet. It's a movie where so much of the conflict and the drama in the movie could be resolved if like these two adults in an adult relationship would have a conversation. Like he seems like a bad okay. In my opinion, if someone calls you kid in your relationship, like he calls her kid, and that just is, I'm just like, that just sort of indicates to me that you don't respect her. Because I'm like, if you don't,
Yeah, you should be equals. Her
right?
being a kid implies that she's lesser than you,
Right?
and that you, as a misogynistic man, believe that she should get back in the kitchen.
Right, that's how it comes. That may not be how it is, but that's how their relationship comes across. He kind of seems like a massive prick. Like
Like a
right.
chauvinistic pig.
Right, yeah, like a chauvinistic pig, yeah. Like they go to the apartment, he's like, I got this. Like, what? Okay. And like from what I could tell, nobody really likes him anyway. Because apparently people don't like him to the point that he died on a Peloton. So apparently he does suck. So it's the kind of movie where I'm like, maybe I hate this because I just don't like Sex in the City. Maybe people who like Sex in the City like this, and then you go and you look it up, like, nope, people who hate Sex in the City also hate this. So it's just generally people just
Then you
don't like a
then
movie.
then you fit right in.
But also it's paced in such a fashion where, again, there's no like first act, second act, third act. It does not follow the 3-act structure like at all. 1 minute like she's getting married and you're like, okay, so the movie is about like that's where I'm like, it's several storylines in a show smushed together in a season, smushed together in a 2.5 movie. Because like 1 minute she's getting married and like they're planning a wedding and it's about her wedding and it's about the fact that these two iconic characters are finally getting married and that's what it's about. And then no, they're not getting married and now they're on vacation in Dubai or whatever, and Charlotte drinks shit water and like the humor is about the fact that they're on vacation. It's like, nope, then they're back from vacation and she's hiring an assistant. And I'm like, wait, weren't they just on vacation? Like, what is it? Like, there's no through line to this movie. It's again so long and so boring, and scenes just go on for fucking ever, and none of the relationships are interesting enough or like engaging enough. I didn't care about any of these people. Quite frankly, I thought they were all just bad people. They all just seemed like bad people, and it did not make me want to watch the show. And the funniest comment I got was someone being like, man, if you think the first one, the second one's even worse. And I can't imagine it's worse. I think it has to be better by nature of the fact that I think it's shorter. I'm pretty sure it's shorter. I think it's only an hour and 45. I'm pretty sure it's shorter. You know what? In fact, you know what? You know what? We're gonna look this up right now on air.
So the real question is
Fuck, I
it
hated that
worse
movie.
than is it worse than The Room?
It is. I think it is worse than The Room.
Like, like actually, or you just dislike it?
I mean, probably not actually. I will say of the ones I watched, like you would think I would say that Death Note was worse, but my god, I hated this so much worse.
No, I expected you to say this was worse. That's
Wow,
why I picked
it's
it.
just as long. That's absurd. In fact, I think it's a minute longer. It's 2 hours 26. That's incredible. No, that must be even worse God, yeah, it was just such a miserable. I was so unhappy the entire time. I'm like, I thought at least it'd be kind of funny. Like there'd be some jokes in it that were kind of funny. And I the entire time I was just like, this just feels unrelatable to everybody. I don't understand how anybody could like this.
Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. I'll find a way to make him watch the second one. It'll be funny.
That Sex in the City, it was awful. It was bad. Jordan, I think that's it for the theoretical. That's it for the technical have seen portion of the show. Two more movies each, Jordan.
Well, two and then a third one for both of us.
Oh right, yeah, right. This is true.
So, mine isn't a movie. It's a musical. And it's on YouTube for free. So there's no excuse for any of you to not watch it.
No excuse.
I watched The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals. Which of the two musicals that I watched this week, story wise, I like it more. Music wise, I like the other one more.
I really like that. I really like The Guy Who Didn't Like Musical. I just think it's so clever. I think that's.
I like the guy who doesn't like musicals because of the story. I think it's a very clever story, and I absolutely think it could be a movie.
Oh, it's so good for me. I would pay money into a Kickstarter. I would theoretically pay a Kickstarter to make this into a movie.
The Guy Who Didn't Like Movie Musicals.
Yep, that'd be really good.
But I'm gonna spoil the plot here for you guys.
We're gonna give away the plot of The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's on YouTube for free.
Yeah, pause this, go watch it on YouTube, come back. We'll wait. Okay, now that we've waited, the Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals is about a guy who doesn't like musicals.
Paul. It's about a man named Paul.
Paul, and as his world is slowly being taken over by zombies who happen to sing as if they're in a musical. And it's about him and his group trying to survive the apocalypse, the end of the world.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
It's pretty much it's pretty much the invasion of the body snatchers, but instead of them being regular zombies,
but with musical.
But they get consumed as part of this collective, which is a musical, because the aliens determined that they felt that it would be much easier to take in their message of global harmony if it was through 3-part harmony.
And it's a lot of fun. It's
also like
it's one that I would genuinely like to see live.
Oh, yeah,
if
for sure.
possible.
I love how it's like you've got these contrasts of these happy like dancing musical numbers to everyone's being just utter terror. Like there's some genuinely like upsetting moments of like one of my favorites early on, his Paul's boss singing "What Do You Want, Paul?" and when he calls the wife, and there's that brief moment of him breaking through, of him being like, he doesn't really want to do this, but you can see that he's being controlled to do this by this collective hive mind.
Probably one of my favorite parts is when they meet. I don't remember who it was. I think it was a general or something. And she's like, "Prove you're not one of them. Sing the opening to Moana." And they all start singing it terribly. And she's like, "All right, you're good. That was terrible. You're clearly not one of them."
I mean, I love the curtain call, where just to skip to the end, where everyone does the curtain call. They're all giving the bows, and she's like, "Why are you clapping? What is wrong with you?"
Happy. Yeah. Great.
I love there's a lot of ones where I'd love to see them in full film theatrical versions, like the Made in America, where it's just all of the army guys slowly being given the goo on like an assembly line. Like that's such a harrowing image of this. Like what's supposed to be like a musical is supposed to be happy and fun, and it's just not. It's a horror. You think it's like, I thought it was gonna be a thing of like he gets sucked into a musical. I didn't realize it was going to be a horror story.
Right, about, like a horror end of the world, aliens taking over.
Right?
Yeah.
Like there's so many of the songs, like We're Cops, the one where it's like We're Cops. I could just picture that in my head with like a whole whole ensemble of like 20, 30 cops. Like, I think that would be fun. the ending, the one thing I would change to this. I would have it where I would do a reprise at the end of have him go like all spooky, like, and I was the guy who didn't like musicals because I like a
Yeah,
good
that
reprise.
that could be interesting. So apparently the show ran from October 11th, 2018 to November 4th, 2018 at the Matrix Theater in Los Angeles, California.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, now a recording is on YouTube, which was uploaded December 24th, 2018.
Yeah, Star Kid
Has
is
8 million views.
I don't know if they still are, but they are, and the reason why I'm so forgiving of them, uh, is because they're technically a college theater. They're a college theater program.
Interesting.
Of which college or which university I am unsure, but so I don't know if they still are. But yeah, a lot of those guys they come from a particular theater program.
I do know that the funding for this show was done through Kickstarter.
Yeah,
So it's funny that you say you would pay the movie to yada yada yada
yeah.
Kickstarter. A project raised $127,792 out of its 60,000 goal.
Yeah, I believe the last three because they just did their more recent one, which was a Cinderella but with puppets, which I don't know if the pro shot is out yet, but um yeah, they fundraise for them because they've been popular since they for those of you who don't know, Starcade does did the Harry Potter
Yeah,
musical.
they were a musical theater company founded in 2009 at the University of Michigan
Yep,
by Darren Criss.
yep, yep. That's where he comes
He
from.
did their first musical, a Harry Potter musical, which was a parody of Harry Potter.
Yes, it was.
Uh,
But it's really good.
they're different because yeah, they distribute their musicals for free on YouTube, which not a lot of places do.
Yep. Yeah. It's usually I think like their last show, so it usually runs for a bit before they put out the pro shot, which is why I find the pro shot is probably the live version is probably gonna be better. But no, I really like it. It's really clever.
Apparently at this point they've done 13 stage musicals.
Yeah, I haven't watched all of them. The other one I want to watch is The Oregon Trail because I hear that one's also quite good. But Jordan, is that it? Is that it for the guy who doesn't like musicals?
Yes, yes, it is.
Quite good, worth checking out. It's free. You don't have a reason not to. It's very clever. Very
The
clever.
one you're talking about, the most recent one, is called Cinderella's Castle.
Yeah, yeah. I've not heard about it. I don't know if it's good not or yet not. I don't know if it's good or not, but I imagine if it's their stuff is usually pretty good. I believe this one and the next one you're going to talk about and the Cinderella one, they're all written by Jeff Blim, who is the guy who plays the boss.
Jeff Blim.
I call him the guy who sounds
it says the Cinderella's Castle is going to be on YouTube late 2024, early 25.
Oh, okay. He's the guy. I call him the guy who sounds like Hugh Jackman because he sounds like Hugh Jackman. Seriously, he sounds like Hugh
That's
Jackman. Am I wrong? Does he not sound like Hugh Jackman?
From what I remember, yes.
Yeah, he wrote the guy who didn't like musicals. I believe he wrote Black Friday, this, and the next one. Yeah, okay, so that is the guy who didn't like musicals. You should watch it. My first one I hadn't seen. I definitely hadn't seen this. Is Bridget Jones's Diary, and it's really funny because the one it's a 2001, so it's Bridget Jones is a real unpleasant. She smokes, she drinks, she talks too much kind of woman, and she decides that she's going to turn her life around, and she starts writing in a diary, and she works for a publishing company, and she winds up dating her boss, played by Hugh Grant. But she also likes this other guy who's kind of a dick. Or well, there's this other guy who's kind of a dick, played by I forget his name, but you know him from The Kingsman. He's the agent who recruits Taron Egerton.
Oh,
Colin Firth. Colin Firth is this other guy, and she's dating Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant says that Colin Firth is a jerk because Colin Firth slept with his fiance, and the thing about Hugh Grant is I never got it because everyone was like Hugh Grant is charmingly befuddled. No, They always said like he's really handsome and all the ladies love him, and I watch him in stuff like that Dungeons and Dragons movie, and I'm like, but he's so goofy looking. Like I don't get it. He doesn't seem all that charming. He's really doofy looking. But then I watch this and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I get it. He does have a certain like that certain kind of like British charm to him, where he's like effortlessly charming and like odd. You know what I
Effort,
mean?
effortlessly befuddled.
Charmingly befuddled. Yeah, he's charmingly befuddled. He's so charmingly befuddled in that movie. And then yeah, she he she discovers that he's cheating on her. Um, the movie does it's one of those movies where she's really pretty, but the movie wants you to think that she's not kind of movies. And so he ends up
Mm.
cheating on her, and she breaks up with him. But she ends up breaking up with him not because he cheated on her, but because he can't commit, which is like the weirdest and dumbest thing ever. She's like, oh, the reason why I cheated on you is because I'm so scared that this is real. And she's like, well, I can't be with someone who doesn't really ultimately want to be with me a lot. And I'm like, really? It's not the cheating thing. It's the okay.
Yeah,
And
all
then
right.
it turns out that that what in fact when Hugh Grant said that it was Colin Firth who, but it turns out that Hugh Grant was the bad one and he slept with Colin Firth's fiance, and Colin Firth was actually a good guy the whole time, and the fact that he was a dick was because he was just nervous, and they get together, and it is otherwise just not for me. It's one of those times where I read it and I was like, I don't like this very much, but it's not bad. Is it just me? And then I went back and I read it. With no, no, people don't really like this movie very much. There's a sequel, and I, for the life of me, I refuse to look up how or what it's about. I have no idea how that's possible. I don't. It's just
Yeah,
one of
I'm
those
sorry.
movies.
I blacked out there for a second. This was sounding very much not for me.
Boring, Jordan.
I don't think
It's very boring.
I don't think I will ever watch this movie.
Yeah, it's not very good.
I'm sorry.
It's not
You you
even.
you haven't sold it for me.
It's
I'm
not
gonna
very.
I'm gonna have to ask you to go back, watch it again, and try harder to find things for me to love about it.
I mean, if you want to see it, there's a point where you get to see her butt when she's riding down a fire pole, and it's a nice butt.
All right, I'll skip directly to that scene.
That's it. It's otherwise a. It's got the chick who plays Moaning Myrtle in it, and character. It's one of those. It's early 2000s, so everyone smokes, and they smoke a lot. They smoke so much. Every character smokes.
Chain
Oh,
smoker.
all of them are. It's kind of wild. That's it. That's Bridget Jones's Diary.
Nerdy prudes must die.
Nerd approves must die.
Nerdy prudes must die.
The music in this one's
Um,
better than the last one. Let's
yeah.
all cry.
So, Nerdy prudes must die is the second one that you challenged to me because you were like he might not like the music in the other one, and so I watched both. And I mean, this one, the story is not. It's pretty paint by numbers. Um, bully, bullies teenagers. Teenagers group up to scare the shit out of him. Bully ends up accidentally dead.
It's
Bully ends up
very
horrific
1980s.
demon ghost, which then starts murdering all the people he used to bully. They sentence him to hell. You know, sunset, sunrise.
I will say there's a couple of songs in this one that like they go on for and it's the same thing in the last one. They do go on for a bit too long. Like I think that also their endings are kind of rushed. I do feel their endings are kind of rushed.
Little bit. But I one of the parts that I love about this one, moment that made me genuinely laugh is after they accidentally kill the bully, and like we cut to the school and stuff, and everybody's like, man, you know, things are just so much better around here for some reason. And one of the
Yeah.
characters is like, yeah, it's sort of amazing how much the course of everyone's lives can be changed by one individual. It's really remarkable.
But
And
yeah, it's
just
remarkable how much
nobody no nobody misses him.
all of our lives have been drastically improved. Um
Um
yeah, I also
Made me laugh.
the one song that the I forget forget the name of it.
Angela.
No, the one that the girl with the headgear sings when she's the Chronicles of the Barbecue, of a barbecue of a grill, whatever. The one that goes, sometimes all I ever wanted. The one the lesbian girl sings before she gets
Yeah.
killed.
What was her character's name?
I,
I've
I,
got the musical numbers here. Hold on.
I forget what her name is.
Uh, because I don't. It doesn't give me a cast list.
It's right before she dies. The one she sings.
Oh wait. Oh wait. Here we go. Roll. Uh, she was not Grace Chastity. Ruth Fleming, I think
Ruth.
her name was.
Yeah, the song that Ruth sings.
Lauren.
I'm like, that
Lauren.
song goes on for like just a tad too long. Um,
Song. Oh, just for once.
just for one. Same thing with I like.
I'm
Uh,
assuming because that's the only one that she directly
yeah,
sings.
that's the one. I think that what song goes on for and Dirty Girl. That song goes on for like an eternity.
Yeah, Dirty Girl's a little long.
It goes a little
But
long.
I mean, there's none of the songs that stick out to me currently anyway. That stick out to me as like those are my favorite, but they're definitely a lot catchier. I find because they're. You said this last night. The ones for a guy who doesn't like musicals are diegetic.
Diet. I believe it's diet. Hold on. Let's look it up. Let's make sure we get the terminology right.
Basically, the ones for that are just them talk singing about what's going on around them. The ones here are actual songs.
I mean, no, I mean the ones in the guide, they're actual songs.
No, they're talk songs where they're just talking about what's going on around
Diegetic.
them.
Right, yeah. So the guy who doesn't like musicals, they're diegetic. They're occurring within the context of the story and being able to heard by the characters in the story.
Yeah. So for me, that makes them good story, weaker songs. This one makes them stronger songs, weaker story.
You mind if I give you the pitch? We don't really have time. Fucking go for it.
Go for it. But yeah, no, it was
Also,
fun. It's fun.
also as a specific critique of the YouTube Pro shot, some of the voice acting, some of the singing is not strong in the live version.
It gets a little weak. Yeah.
Yeah, Angela and the guy who plays Max Yeagerman, they give him all these high notes that he just cannot hit, and it's like, oh man, poor Angela. She's trying to act and sing these high notes at the same time. That I don't know if it's like a case of like this is week 2 of like show 7, and like
And their voices are tired.
just tired. Because on the soundtrack they all sound great. Like they
You're
all
right,
sound,
but and I made this argument last night. On a soundtrack, there's a lot of machines that can help you sound better than you are.
yeah, I mean, just in terms of line reads, though, like one of my favorite line reads from Angela is Grace Chastity has some great lines. She's an exceptionally funny character, but I like at the end where she, on the soundtrack where she's like, the souls of the pervs that make them strong. I don't know why. The way just the way she make them strong. It just makes me laugh every fucking
Here,
time.
here's what I'll say. People of the internet, make this video like end up on her feed. We would love to have her come on and talk about it.
Yeah, another one of my favorite lines of hers is that she's bisexual and she's bisexual and something. Of course, she's in hell.
Yeah, bisexual and I don't remember what the exact line is, but
Of course,
yeah,
she's
she's a
in
funny
hell.
character. The entire time I'm watching it, I'm just like, man, Angela's a prude.
Yeah, it's
Her
definitely one of those ones
character.
that made me like appreciate her as a performer. Like her, and if you watch Smosh, I don't know how much cross section there is between Smosh and our show, but Amanda from Smosh, she has a really good short film called "Why Are You in My House," which is
Oh yeah, that was good.
that one's really good. It's genuinely creepy. It's on, you're like, oh, she's a good performance, good actor. Jordan, is that it? Is that it for Nerdy Prudes Must Die?
Merry Christmas time. Hey, yes,
Damn, high school is killing me.
that's all I have to say.
My final one of the had scenes of the evening of the main show. It's technically one movie, but it was split into two. It's a movie called Kill Billiam. Kill Bill.
No, Kill Bill, Justin.
Kill Will. Kill William.
Kill William Afton.
Um, and it's like I don't have much to say about it. It was originally two movies, one movie. It's one 4-hour movie. He split it into two, so we wouldn't have to cut out any scenes. It very much plays as though it was supposed to be watched as one movie because it does it in chapters. So every scene is a chapter. It's about a bride who gets killed or gets attacked at her wedding, and it's basically her tracking down. I'm pretty sure you've seen Volume 1, right?
I've seen Volume 1. I never got around to Volume 2 because Volume 1 was so boring that I had no desire to ever return to it ever again.
Yeah, pretty much. Volume 1. Here's the thing: is it's an homage to old school exploitation action kung fu movies of the 1970s. But none of the action, in my opinion, is very well shot or made or interesting to look at. And it's just a lot of characters standing around talking about fighting each other rather than fighting each other. And it's like, yeah, it's a bloody movie, but not in a way that's interesting. It's just bloody in a fake movie making kind of way where like people get their heads cut off and they spurt blood in a way that's not terribly realistic. Some of the dialogue is fun, but that's because I like Tarantino dialogue, and I don't think he shoots action particularly well. I think some of his dialogue is fun. The first one is really tight. It's only like an hour 49. I think it's just under 2 hours, and it moves at a clip. It's very anti-Tarantino. Like Tarantino movies are usually very long, and like characters just talk. Scenes go on forever. And the second half, and so the first one just kind of ends with her being like, "I'm gonna go after the main for Bill now," and then the next one's like chapter 6, and it's chapter 6 through 10. And it pretty much she chases down everyone in this little gang who betrayed her, and she kills them all, and she finds Bill, and it turns out that her daughter, who she thought was dead, is alive, and she confronts Bill, and she kills Bill. Is there anything you want to know about Kill Bill? There's not really much to this beyond the fact that the action sequences are all right.
I mean, all that really matters is that she does kill Bill.
She does indeed kill Bill. So let's talk about the wild robot because I don't have anything else to talk about Kill Bill. And the show has gone on for like almost 3 hours now. It's 2:48, Jordan. So
I was just Wild Robot. Wild Robot. The movie is fantastic. It's beautiful. It's cute. It made my heart smile. Is the words I believe I used walking out of it.
Here's the thing about a really good movie is you wind up not saying a whole ton about a really good movie because you want people to experience it organically. So I don't feel like we're going to go into super duper detail here.
One thing that I maybe I'll talk about this with you off stream. It's based on a book.
Yeah, I know it's based on a book.
It's based on a trilogy of books. 3 books.
I knew that there's more than one book.
I was just reading about the other books because you were like, I don't really know where you go with it at the end of this one.
Yeah. Spoilers. We're gonna spoil the shit out of this movie.
Well, that's where I was like, maybe I'll tell you about this off stream, so that I don't spoil the end of this movie for people that want to go experience it.
Okay, this is what we'll do this in 2 parts. Number 1, go watch this movie. It's very good. It's very pretty, as Jordan said. Yes, it's all the moments that are triumphant. It really hits you in your soft, squishy spots. It's beautifully animated. It's well voice acted. The music, the needle drops are well executed. It's just an exceptionally well made movie. DreamWorks is fucking knocking it out of the park, man.
I think they're the next Pixar.
I kind of feel this is DreamWorks trying to do a Pixar, and that by no means is an insult.
They are entering. They while Disney and Pixar are leaving their golden era, it really feels like DreamWorks is entering it.
Certainly feel I would agree they're entering into a golden era of animation, and it sucks that these movies don't do as well as they should. Although I think this one's doing okay.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't take your kids to Moana 2. Watch that on streaming like it was always intended to be watched. Right. Go watch this while it's still in theaters before you lose the chance.
Right. Like, go
Now,
go
having
support this
said
movie.
that,
Now we're gonna spoil the
uh,
shit out of the ending. Jordan,
we're
tell me.
gonna we're gonna spoil the shit. So at the end, you know how we see her on the farm, and
Oh, I got. Well, hold on a second before you tell me about the how different is it from the book?
well, okay, so I've got the series wiki open, so it's just a very basic one, but all it says for the ending in the shorter version is, while the animals are initially frightened by her, they come to trust her after she adopts an orphan gosling, Brightbill. All goes well until a ship arrives one day, harboring gun-bearing Rico robots. Reco, Reco robots. Um, I'm sure if I went to that book's specific Wikipedia, it would have more, but that's what it says there. Um, and then the sequel is called The Wild Robot Escapes. Um, so basically, the novel starts with Roz coming to life at Hilltop Farm, a dairy farm run by the Sharif family, which she is expected to help run. Although she attempts to act like the robot she was designed to be, she misses life on her island. As she speaks with the animals, word of her situation and location get to Brightbill, who comes to save her with the help of the farmer's children. After escaping, Roz and Brightbill find more dangers and barriers to returning home. So it sounds like the second book is pretty much what I said,
Yeah.
where Brightbill goes and finds her and they escape.
Okay, so then what's the third one about?
Third one, uh, while Robot protects. Uh, Roz learns about a poison tide which kills the plants and fish it touches. To help protect the island, Roz and the animals move their sea-dwelling friends to an island pond. However, drama increases as everyone deals with limited living spaces and dwindling resources. By accident, Roz learns she's waterproof and protected from the poison tide. With this new information, she swims out to address the root cause of the problem.
Huh. All right then. I mean, yeah, definitely a second one. I don't know about a third one, but I mean, certainly
I
a second one.
I could see them making a second one, and if the second one does well, maybe a third one.
Maybe a
But
third one.
definitely, I see a second one.
What's the box office numbers on this so far? Let's find out.
On Wikipedia, it says that it had a budget of 78 million, and box office on Wikipedia it says 476 million. So it's doing well.
Uh, what? Sorry. Sorry.
Are you there?
Hold on. I want to see if I can find. Let me just see. Let me just see what else I see. Hold on. Why is it not? Don't.
So
What?
yeah, the film visuals uses a watercolor aesthetic, which apparently was inspired by the Spider-Verse franchise and the works of Hayao Miyazaki, which I can see the Miyazaki
I can
influence.
see. Oh, I can absolutely see the Miyazaki influence. Yeah, it reminds me. It's derivative of a few things. It reminds me of Wally.
Ooh. I don't know how I like that. Apparently, it was the final film to be animated entirely in-house at DreamWorks, as the studio will begin relying heavily on outside vendors for future films.
Ooh, don't love that.
Don't love that.
So yeah, right now it's according to Box Office Mojo, domestically has made 142 million, internationally 178 million, worldwide 321 million. What's the budget?
78 million.
So yeah, it's big success. God, yeah, I
Yeah.
hope Hollywood always learns the wrong lessons. But no, go support it. Go teach DreamWorks that they need to make more good movies like this.
Yeah, they're like it's got Pedro Pascal as Fink, the Red Fox, and I love the Fox. I thought he was a very cute
Oh, they're
character.
all cute characters.
They're
Yeah.
all cute. It made my heart happy, which not very many things do these days. It warmed the cold cockles of my
Yeah, I
heart.
mean, I was waiting for something the entire movie. I was waiting for something to happen that was going to be a real bummer. I'm like, this is feeling like a Pixar movie, and I'm not crying yet.
Um, Also, the scene where the Peregrine Falcon is teaching the gosling, the goose rather, how to fly is epic.
Right?
Like, love it, love it.
I love
There's
the
so much in this movie to watch. Like, I
the fun
I
little
will be
post
happy
credit
when this
involving the.
comes to streaming and I can watch it again.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch it again. That's for sure. It's gonna be it's fun. I want to see more trying to think if there's anything. Seriously, go watch it. Go support it in theaters.
Interesting. Apparently, Sanders, I guess, I think Sanders is the director, took inspiration from classic Disney animated movies
That makes
and the
sense.
works of Hayao Miyazaki,
Yeah, I can see
which is
that.
what created the style that the movie came out in. He
Oh, that's a good
considered
way.
Bambi,
Yeah,
My Neighbor Totoro as the
yeah,
biggest
I
influences.
can see that.
Uh, and he wanted Roz's design to be iconic and memorable, and one that would take its place among fiction's most famous robots, taking inspiration from C-3PO, R2-D2 from Star Wars, and Robbie the robot
Oh
from
yeah.
Forbidden Planet.
Oh yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
It's
I'm trying to think, Jordan. Is there anything else I have to say about the wild robot?
interesting. Apparently, you can already rent the Wild Robot on digital streaming as of October 15th.
Oh, neat, neat, neat,
It's
neat.
going to be released on Blu-ray and DVD on December 3rd. So,
Sweet.
those who didn't watch it in the theater, go buy it.
Jordan, do you have anything else you want to say about the wild robot?
I cannot sing its praises enough.
Very good movie. Good movie. Take
Those
your
are
kids.
those are probably of the things I watched this week, probably my favorite.
I think it's my favorite. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was really good. I had a good time.
It
But
was
Jordan,
very cute.
unless you have anything else you want to say about anything else we talked about today, because we're pushing 3
I'm gonna
hours.
I'm gonna force you to watch Sex in the City too.
I hate you so much. With that, next week, everybody. Next week, I didn't cut a promo for this week's show, but next week, Jordan, guess what? Next week, actually, I think as of this Tuesday, we will have been doing this bit for 1 year. For 1 year. For one year.
Yeah.
Which means next week is our 1 year anniversary. So we're going to be having a 1 year anniversary party where we will be celebrating.
1 year of people apparently wanting to listen to us.
Apparently. So we will be talking about us. Wow.
81 people.
81 people watching us occasionally. So we're going to be talking about us. We're going to be talking about stuff we've seen before. Jordan is going to compile a list of movies that he's watched before that he wants me to watch, and I shall compile a list of my own list of movies that I have watched that I want Jordan to watch. We're going to talk about those. I have a big fun activity plan involving the big anniversary. We're going to talk about our show for a bit. It's going to be fun. Maybe some friends will drop by. Who's to say? We never know. We never know if they're going to drop by. They say they're going to drop by, but any friends you want to stop on by, come hang out, come talk about the show. We're gonna talk about our favorite bits, the favorite episodes we've done, favorite moments. It's gonna be a real celebration of the Spur of the Moment podcast, everybody. It's our 1 year anniversary. That's next week. Come hang out. Stop that. I don't know what should stop. I don't know. Weird. That's very strange. Next week, 1 year anniversary of the show. It's gonna be a fun time. Come hang out. Come hang out in our chat room and pretend like you listen to the show. That's it. That's the end of the show, everybody. Jordan, where can they find you?
I do Minecraft Monday on Twitch, Zethgore187. I spend a year on my weekends doing a podcast where I talk about movies, TV shows, and other pop culture general analysis things. Other than that,
Go ask
that's
him.
it.
Go.
Discord. There's a Discord which I'm a member of.
Go show up on Minecraft Mondays and ask him to give you the tour. Yes, you could follow us on Discord. You can join us on Discord, give suggestions there. You can email the show at itsjustinsbusiness at gmail.com. If you you can follow us I'm on TikTok. You follow me on TikTok. You follow the show on TikTok on it's the Spur of the Moment P. If you want to be on the show, you can fill out the Google form. I got a handy dandy Google form you can fill out. Tell us what you want to do. We could talk about whatever. That's pretty fun. Am I missing anything, Jordan?
Discord.
I talked about the Discord. I think that's it.
TrophySmack.com using the link in the description below.
Thank you.
Once again, TrophySmack.com.
Thank you to Trophy Smack once again, as always, to sponsoring this episode. We will see everyone next week, hopefully with friends. Goodbye, everybody.